Good morning, Broad Coven. It is good to see all of you, or rather, good afternoon. Just headed into the afternoon time here, Eastern Standard Time, just outside of Detroit. I had quite the time getting here this morning. I've had quite the time recently. I've been recovering from a pretty high stress period in my life. So I'm just in a place right now where I've been trying to get like back on a good schedule, get my sleep stabilized, just restore myself, nurture myself a little bit. So I was dragging a bit this morning. The early time, 11 may not seem very early to you all, but it's pretty early for me with as late as I'm up at night. But I am here, and thank you for being patient with me. And you all know from being through this with me before that um, I have a little wiggle room that I build in for myself because life happens, and sometimes I get caught up in the morning. Mornings are a very big challenge for me. I'm starting to see the areas where I really need to focus my work on this panchakarma just to get myself really in a good, nurtured, stabilized, grounded place. My vata is definitely out of balance right now. I've been noticing that. I do have a bit of that short-term attention span energy going on, easily distracted, full of ideas, full of inspirations. I have a lot of optimism. I feel really good about a lot of things, but at the same time, it's just my energy because my sleep has been off for a while. And I've dealt with a lot of stress recently, which is wrapping up. I'm getting to the other side of that. But there's residual effects. And, one of the things that kind of came up for me recently is I had a bit of activation of some old PTSD stuff. Um, and that definitely had an effect on my sleep. And so it's just been a little bit just getting destabilized. Ah, yeah, getting destabilized to get stabilized. In a way, that's kind of been what it's been about. I think that's something that the collective can really relate to. Actually, we've all been through this process. It's sort of like we had to look at some stuff, right? Some deep stuff, some stuff that was like hanging out in the root cellar before we could really get to the place where we were ready to move forward cleanly, clearly, understanding the roots of the past, how it informs the present, and also realizing that we're in a different place now, right? We're different people now. And even in situations where we've been in like some kind of healing process with another, I think we're starting to come to the realization that, oh, wait a minute, this isn't the same person I was dealing with even a year ago. Okay. So life is always moving, situations are always evolving. And I think we're all getting acclimated to this at a time when there's a lot of change, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot going on in the world, and there's been a lot rocking and rolling through our lives with all the changes we've been through over the past few years, but we're getting to the other side of it. So I'm just going to kind of like share my piece, what I realized that I need to focus on with this Panchakarma, since I always share my perspective. And I did get an I Ching divination in for us. I like having that on Saturdays. It's just a way to sort of put a framework around our week ahead, what we need to focus on. The Book of Changes is so helpful at a time like this. So if you haven't really explored the I Ching and you're interested in divination and maybe looking at coming at it from an angle that's more spiritual in basis, that has more of a psychological component, that helps you kind of work through things and learn the proper way to move forward, how to move forward harmoniously in your life and have some real transformational changes. The I Ching is very, very valuable for that. I'll put a link in the comments to a resource for where you can get yourself a copy. You can find a copy used, and there's no reason why you can't do that. I tend to like to get like used books and stuff, so I've always loved going to used bookstores. But you'll always find a copy of the I Ching if you go into a used bookstore. I've never gone into a used bookstore and not seen a copy of the I Ching available. So the book's been around for a long time, and it's a valuable source of information. And it's even led, leaders, it's led generals, it's led officials in making decisions and executing wise actions for a long time now, since the age of Confucianism. So this has been something that's been foundational to help people navigate uncertain terrain and certainly has value now. So my main thing that I realized that I need to work on is sleep and getting a really solid schedule in place. That's where I'm having the most issues. And I think it's just because I'm trying to bring a lot of stuff into being right now. There's a lot of things that are coming to fruition with what I've been working on in terms of business and what I'm developing for my future, my stability. And it requires a huge output of energy for me right now, which is normally fine, but it's been interesting just having gone through recently a time of really high stress and activation in some cases. And that's required me to have additional energy output. And I think that's what's kind of moved me into a little bit of a depletion place. My tank could use a little filling, and that's why I'm not really holding myself to real fast, hard schedule constructs right now. I realize that there's a necessity for me to be mindful of where my body's at, what my body's feeling. I certainly have been sinking into that aspect of the lesson this week, the lessons that came in both for Roots with Wings and also with the Grace in Crisis course. I realized that yes, my nervous system is taxed. Yes, I need more nurturing. I need more building. I don't really feel anxiety. I don't have anxiety. I don't really have a lot of those emotions. For me, it's just a general depletion picture. I could have more energy, My sleep could be much better. I could be feeling a lot more just calm. I think that's it. I always feel kind of antsy. I need to be doing something. I need to be doing more. And so I'm kind of in that real I guess I'm in a VATA pushing pitta mode, My VATA is really pushing into my pitta and is making me get really driven, which in some cases it's sort of weird, It's one of those situations where it's I don't know. Sometimes a bit of the hair of the dog that bit you will do you. It's kind of one of those things because I think this is something that everybody who is trying to meet a deadline with a big goal or who is an entrepreneur can relate to. That when you're working on something like a big project and you're on a deadline with it and that it's important that you hit particular deadlines. It does kind of require you to go that place sometimes. And I know there's a lot out there about well, the hustle culture isn't where it's at. And I agree with that. That would be wonderful to live in a world where that's not part of the overarching construct that affects the way we establish ourselves, on this playing field. But unfortunately, right now, that is where it's at. It is in this place where in order to get yourself established, you really have to, put in some elbow grease. You have to do the hard work to get to the other side. It takes determination. It takes consistency. And then it also takes this kind of checks and balances where you have to start looking at where can I let things go a little bit, which is what we were looking at this week, right? Where can I kind of let things slide a little bit? Or where can I give myself a little bit of wiggle room? And for me, that really has come into getting assistance, asking for some clerical support, in terms of my business and working things out on that level with people that I trust, where they know that it's something we're building together, where I'm not in a position right now to have a payroll, things like this, that we're all kind of building a vision together. And I've been able to find people, which is really cool. It's really cool to feel that support and to know that people believe in what I'm creating. So, don't ever look at your situation and think, I need support, but I can't hire support when we're looking at something like a business. Okay. There's different ways that you can work things out. And I'm going to be bringing things into this channel, moving in the future, you know, toward my ultimate vision here, which is about total revolution, lowercase r. I'm looking at evolution. I'm looking at growth. I'm looking at growth for humanity as a whole. And how can we move forward in a new way that's really empowering, not only for ourselves, but for all of us collectively? And how can we preserve our sense of freedom and our right to live our lives on our terms and still respect the rights of others to do the same? You know, how can we do this in a way where everybody eats, everybody feels supported, where nobody goes without? You know, we shouldn't even be living in a reality like that. There's more than enough to go around. How can we create more of a balance in power, a balance in holding power? How can we create more respect? How can we create more supportive spaces in society that are all inclusive? How can we get over our BS and get to the other side? How can we get beyond the division and get back to the truth of the unity of things, the interrelation of things? You know, get back to respecting the earth, giving back to the earth, tending to the earth, being stewards of the earth, and being stewards of each other, and understanding that we're all like walking each other home, and it's a tall order. I didn't ask for this purpose, this mission, but it just kind of was thrust upon me. And if I'm really honest with myself, it's been there since I was a little girl. It's always been a part of me. It's been the authentic part of me, but there's a lot just in my childhood and my own history. And I've been looking at all this stuff, much as I'm sure you've all been looking at your stuff, you know, where I realize there's ways that I've been held back. There's ways that I silenced myself. There's ways I made myself small. There's ways I sabotaged myself. You know, when I'm looking at doing my healing work, my transformational work, I love that. I have this oak tree out back. It's a twin oak. It's like two oaks that have come together. It's really a beautiful tree. It's very special to me because there was a tree out at Regal Park, an oak tree. Some call it the grandmother tree, but for me, it always had a very masculine energy. It had a very king energy. It gave me its name. I spent a lot of time with that tree. I know it as King Edward, okay? King Edward held a lot of space for me. Beautiful oak tree in a very secret grove at Regal Park in Sebastopol. So if you're in Northern California and you get the chance to go to Regal Park and check that out, you should. Not everybody can find the tree though. It's really interesting. It's a very famous tree. It's a well-known tree. Everybody knows about the tree, but there's people who can't find it. And I believe that's because it's a special jewel at the center of this crossroads in an oak grove. And it's just this really secluded, like cloistered, like magical place. And there's a lot of people who work magic there. There's a lot of people who leave their prayers there. There's people that go and sit there in meditation, or, you know, do their little urban shaman vision quest there, I like to call them, when you know, you can't go out to the desert. You don't have the time, the space, or maybe even just, you know, the mindset to be able to go out, like do a peyote vision or something like that. Go total Carlos Castaneda style, which is kind of funny for that to come in, because now I'm going to go off on a tangent. Here we go. The channeling's coming in. Datura, you know, for the Cauldron of Dogda, I brought in Datura. I'm bringing in some really interesting plant allies for the Cauldron of Dogda, and I'm really beginning to understand why they're coming in. They're coming in such a way as to learn how to transmute poisons. You know, it's really about teaching alchemy work, that the only way that we can really heal, the only way we can really be restored, is we have to really imbibe a bit of that hair of the dog that bit us. We have to be able to encounter the poison, to take in the poison, to assimilate it. And through assimilating it, we arrive at like the anti-venom in a sense, you know. Arrive at that cure. We transmute the energy. And I've been bringing in Datura. I brought in Belladonna. I have others that are wanting to come in. These plant allies are wanting to come in. The plants come in very strongly for me and very interestingly to me. They like court me, okay? These plant spirits court me. But what's really funny is in my day-to-day life, I'm like not a green thumb at all. Like I'm really not good with plants. I'm not. I'm not. And I'm a florist, okay? I'm a certified florist, so I'm a broad of all trades. I went through schooling for that. In fact, I almost have a horticulture degree. I'm only like 8 units shy of a horticulture degree. I got again, I was like hoodwinked, bamboozled, tricked into going for a horticulture degree when all I wanted to do was be a florist. And all I needed was a 3-month certification. But I was up in Washington and I was going through college and I got roped into this horticulture degree, and then I was learning about soil chemistry and plant biology and plant anatomy. And I'm like, why am I learning all of this? And I've never been, good with plants. I can water them, I can tend to their basic needs. I'm not a gardener. Like, that's not my medicine, but I love to arrange flowers. I love to do pretty things with them. I love to admire them. I love working with their essences. I love working with them on an alchemical basis, making blends, making special magical baths. Hello, welcome. Good to see you. I love to work with the plants on that level, make body scrubs that have different like herbal infusions, spiritual rinses, things like this, special perfume oils. Like, this is how I like to work with plants, making different incense blends for different purposes, little mojo bags. Like, that's how I am with plants. I've never been somebody that's been good with plants, though, like as far as house plants. It's just not my thing. Like, I need things that are really hardy. I can do good with like a philodendron. Yeah, the plants come my way and they're like fighting for their lives. I don't mean to. I'm a lot better than I used to be, but still, it's like, it's a challenge for me. It's a real challenge for me. Give me some bromeliads. I'll do good with that. If they live off air, I'll do good with that. And maybe that's symbolic, of the whole VATA challenge, to like make sure you're like pouring into yourself, watering yourself, tending to yourself, taking care of yourself. Okay. So it's funny for me because to have these plant allies come in is interesting. Now, I have journeyed before. All right. It's not something I do anymore, all right? I did try. I'll admit I tried not too long ago because some came my way as a gift, ironically, for a PANCHAKARMA I did. Somebody wanted to pay their gratitude in this way, and they gave me some mushrooms. They gave me some magic mushrooms, and I hadn't done that in a long, long time, really, really long time. I think I hadn't done it since I was 21 years old. I did them when I was 21 years old. I went on a very long journey with them, a very long journey, a month-long journey with them daily. And it was a really wild experience operating in surreality like that 24/7. It rocked my world. It opened me up to a lot of things. But by the time I was done with that, 31 days of that in a row, and I was like, I'm good. And I never touched anything like that again. I never felt the need for it. I felt like I got everything I could from that medicine. But they came to me in recent years. And, since then, there's been a lot of meditation I've done. I've, worked with the Kundalini energy. There's so much that has changed, shifted just on my spiritual path and what I've explored that I tried them twice and I felt like nothing. I don't know if they really work for me anymore. And I'm not going to keep trying. I don't really feel like I need it, but I did want to honor the gift and I did want to imbibe and just like see like, okay, this came my way and maybe it has something to show me, but I didn't really get anything out of it, So it was like kind of an interesting experience. But what's happened for me is different plant allies like come in and they introduce themselves. And sometimes it's not on that level, okay? It has nothing to do with it being a psychotropic plant. It can be anything. It can be any kind of plant. It could be rosemary. It could be sage. It could be lobelia. It could be anything that's coming in. That's interesting. Lobelia coming in with the rosemary, with the sage. There might be a need to do like some steam inhalation. Some of you maybe having some grief stuff coming up. You might have a need to clear out some stuffed grief. Okay. You can use like a cooking sage. You got to be very mindful of what kind of sage you use for a steam inhalation. Use cooking sage, okay? It needs to be something that's edible. I would put some cooking sage, a little lobelia, and rosemary in some water that you boiled. So it's like nice and hot. Then you can steep the herbs in there. And just tent your head with a towel and just kind of like let yourself hang over the bowl and just breathe deeply. If you're feeling like you're needing to have like a good cry or you're needing to have some kind of emotional release, but nothing is coming through, this can be really helpful, okay? This can help you like kind of clear out that stuck energy. You'll get a lot of mucus exportation when you do that. Exportation, I like that. It's like, yeah, we're going to export it out. It is an expectorant, okay? But I like this idea of like exportation. That's kind of what it's about. It's just moving the energy out of the lungs, getting it out of the system. And once your breathing passageways free up, not only is it going to be good for you, I mean, we need to do this work anyway. This does come in this course, in both of the courses, Grace in Crisis and in Roots with Wings. But I feel like it's wanting to come in early. I feel like there is a real need to get the stuck unstuck, and that's really in harmony with what came in with the I Ching, which we'll go into. I don't even remember, you know, where I was at before we went off on that track, but things are going to just kind of meander. I think this is the way the energy wants to be today. So I'm just going to trust that flow, you know. But I am realizing, you know, there's this need to really get things stabilized, get the rest in, get the nurturing in, really get myself in a place where I feel supported. And that's my focus right now. So right now, what I need is extra rest. I'm noticing I need extra rest. I need extra downtime. I need grace. I need wiggle room, you know? And that's another thing is you start to explore and you figure out what sources of support you need to feel nurtured right now. What one person views as support or what they need to kind of like find their center is different from other people. Like for me, I like to touch in with friends and I like to touch in with my loved ones. And I need to also be in the right space to do that. You know what I'm saying? I recently had to lay down some boundary lines because my form of support for me at the time looked like, hey, I just need some space to rest. Like I'm kind of integrating a lot right now. And I had good conversations with people around this and I let them know where I was at, what was going on. And there was a continual push for engagement after I kind of like laid down a boundary line and said, I need to rest. So I really had to get firm with that, you know, and you may need to get firm with that. Remember, we talked about this boundary issue. There's a lot of people that in order for them to restore and feel nurtured, alone time can be very, very grounding, very centering, you know, just to be able to kind of like sink into your own energy, have time for yourself. And I think this is especially important. And this comes up in the Grace in Crisis course. If you're a caregiver, if you're, you know, a parent, if you are a lover, you know, and maybe your partner's been going through a difficult time, if you're in any kind of healing process with somebody, if you're going through any kind of recovery or going through some kind of like counseling process or a deep physical healing process, maybe you're dealing with medical challenges. I'm thinking of like all different kinds of scenarios, or you're caring for somebody that is physically ill, a loved one, a family member, you're acting as a caregiver, or you're just having to really work a lot, work double time. Maybe you're in the position I'm in, you know, you're needing to create a foundation. It's very essential. It's practical. It's mundane reality. If it doesn't get done, there's a lot of things that fall through the cracks. And so you have no choice. You're in this position where you're like, yeah, it would be great if I could take a vacation, or yeah, it would be great if I could, you know, just take it easy. But I'm not in that place, you know. It really is a matter of necessity that I have to follow through. And fall is very much about this at this time. Fall is very much about following through with energy that has been set in motion. So, you know, it can be challenging. I don't know if you heard Ted back there, but he was just like gnawing away at something, you know. Yeah, sometimes you have to be like a dog with a bone. You know, you have to just kind of really just, you know, see something through. It requires a big push, you know. This is a reality too. And when you're in a situation like that, if you're dealing with loved ones that are kind of like telling you, like, well, you have to rest or you need, it's like, no, you don't understand the practicalities of this situation. Okay. So that those times it's like having the space to yourself is what helps you. Having people kind of like give you the room to do what you need to do to maneuver to get yourself in that like grounded, stabilized place and have all the boxes ticked so that you can finally let go, you know, so that you then have more time to kind of like drop in with your friends, your loved ones, all that. Then, you know, sometimes that's what you need, right? So communicate your needs effectively to your loved ones so they know what's going on. But I'll tell you, even when you communicate your needs effectively to your loved ones, to your friends, they're not always going to understand you. And sometimes you're going to get pushback. And especially if you're somebody who has always been in the role of being a caregiver, you can definitely encounter, you know, backlash once you start to sort of like put down boundary lines. If you're typically a person who's a yes person, you bend over backwards, you're always, you know, making sure that everybody else has what they need and people look to you for a lot of support, it's even more challenging, okay? But it's important, and it's important to reflect healthy boundaries to people. They learn something too in the process. So it doesn't mean you can't like loosen up those boundaries down the road. You can, but sometimes they need to be in place because it's just what's necessary, you know? So respect where you're at, be honest about where you're at with your loved ones, communicate your needs, okay? These pieces coming in and they really tie in harmony with what came through with the I Ching. I'm going to get a baseline with tarot here. I'm really just doing this free form today. I'm letting whatever wants to come in, come in. I don't have like a lot of structure with this today. I kind of just want to be inspired in the moment. Bottom of the deck energy. Look, we got it again. Temperance. This is our work at this time. We're really being asked to alchemize. I feel like alchemize residual energy from the past. Just I'm being informed by what came through with the I Ching. There's still this need to really kind of temper this balance between shadow and light. That's what I got, you know. Some people are still kind of clinging a little bit too much to the shadow, and it's leaving them in this place of like kind of murkiness, just like looking through clouded water, not getting a clear view, okay? It makes the cauldron of Dagda a little murky, all right? It means that it can invite certain energies to come into that cauldron of Dagda. It can invite in siren, you know, kind of energies, which are really just aspects of ourselves, fragments of ourselves that kind of lure us in and lead us into sabotaging behaviors. These are the kind of things that we need to be mindful of at this time, okay? It's important that you always have access to that subconscious material, that subterranean material. It's important that you're always aware of your shadow and that you acknowledge its presence, okay? And that you remember what you rose up out of, but not to the extent that it becomes the framework that you build your future upon. And this is why I feel like there's still some old residual energy that's hanging out in the collective that really needs to be balanced out, you know, understanding that, okay, once informed by the shadow, it's time to sort of like, all right, now let's release the energy. Let's create some kind of boundary line, like a line demarcation, like, okay, that was then. And now I'm stepping over that, that point of division, what's kept me divided from feeling really whole within myself and really in alignment with my life, really in alignment with my path. And now I'm going to move forward. I'm going to move forward in an empowering way. I'm going to move forward informed by that shadow and the lessons I learned. And that changes the way my future unfolds. Okay. So you have to be very aware. We all have to be very aware. And I've been in this place in my life before as well. Sometimes it still crops up every now and then. If something kind of like reminds me of something I've encountered before, it can come in almost as a smoke screen, and then it superimposes my sight, my vision, my view that I had in the past on present reality. We've all experienced this. There's times when we can all project, okay? So I feel like these energies are very front and center right now, just because a lot of people are going through karmic balancing. I mean, it's the nature of the age of the Kali Yuga. Okay, so there's a need to really balance out this energy. And in fact, I feel like really drawn right now to bring in the selenite. And I think I want to just kind of clear the energy for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and just charge this selenite up here with some Reiki. And I want to bring in some Reiki for all of you. And bring in some Reiki that transmits the energy to the past, to bring healing, peace to the past, closure to the past, as well as healing, anchoring in the new awareness, the new truth, the higher sense of consciousness into the present moment, and then also calling into the future. Fresh energy, supportive energy, unifying energy, blessing energy. Okay. Also calling in some emotional healing support, making it safe to encounter the emotions, to release the emotions, to feel the emotions, and just a lot of protection around all of this. You do not have to receive the Reiki, okay, if you're not comfortable with it, if you're unfamiliar with it, and you feel like you need to know more about it or research that. I highly encourage that. And always just listen to what feels right for you, okay? Reiki is universal life force energy. It's akin to like ki, it's the same concept, or prana, it's that vital life force energy. So what it does is it comes in and it just brings real supportive, revitalizing life force energy in. But do research it, make sure it feels right to you. But if you wish to receive it, I'm going to call it in now. And if you don't, just simply say no, thank you. And you will not have it directed your way. Okay. I do everything very intentionally here and very much focused on free will. So I think first what I want to do is just kind of like, let's just clear the energy, like kind of like clearing the channel, all right, from the energy of the past. Selenite is wonderful for this. Selenite is a form of gypsum, and it beautifully refracts light. It's really beautiful to have light shining down on selenite. Or you can get these little light boxes, and they have changing lights. And if you put like a selenite wand on there, it's so beautiful. The way it lights up is just really a very special mineral. It has a very soft, silky energy, and it's very much aligned with the angelic realm. And it's excellent for clearing energy. You can even run it over yourself, just down your chakra channel. I mean, I can feel the difference. It just like clears the template. It's especially helpful for working with the upper channels, for working with Vishuddha, the throat chakra, working with Ajna, the third eye chakra, and working with Sahasrara, which is the crown chakra, okay? It's also excellent for heart clearing. So I would recommend, if you get one of these selenite wands, do you see how it's refracting my rainbow light I got going on here? It's so pretty. You can get these very affordably, okay? And it's excellent to just kind of have on you. I like to carry a stone in my pocket or some kind of mineral in my pocket often. And different ones come in for me at different times. So maybe you're being asked to do that. Working with stones, working with crystals can be very beneficial for Vata, because it's of the earth, it's a grounding, rooting earth element. So you might want to just see which one speaks to you, but selenite can be a great one to begin with. And I say that because the energy is soft, the energy is silky, the energy is clearing. You don't want to put selenite in water, okay? That can cause issues. It kind of keeps itself clear, to be honest with you. It's just a very clean running energy, but you can always do a little smoke cleansing for it. You know, you can run it through some rosemary, you can run it through some cedars, some Palo Santo. If you have ethically sourced sage, which I really highly encourage, you go through a native retailer if you're going to get sage and work with sage, right? Silver sage, okay? You can run it through that. You can even run it through like a sandalwood incense, okay? Get creative. You can even like kind of like hold your prayers and like breathe your own prana onto it to clear it. Use just the air from your nose if you do that, not through the mouth. There's a reason for that. That's because in some indigenous cultures, they feel like the mouth can tell lies, so it's not like a real purifying of the energy. Um, there's something sacred about connecting with the nostril breath. Okay, so this coming in. Also, when you're working with breath work, you know, start focusing on this a little bit more, focusing more with your pranayama on real all nostril breathing. It makes a big difference, okay? Also, in just the quality of prana you're able to take in, the way it's able to nurture you, all these coming in. But you can lay a selenite with your other crystals and it will clear them. You don't even need to like charge them up. It's just nice to have, and the energy is really beautiful in it. So I'm going to go ahead and call on this Reiki for all of you that are wanting to receive it, just to give you support as you move through the weekend. And you continue to work with the lesson material, or you continue to do your questing and build that energy with me. This was just really our drop-in week, getting familiar. You know, next week we'll start amping it up a bit. And I'm going to try to rein it in with the length of time that I'm spending on the lives, because I think that's why I've been feeling depleted this week. I've been going for like 4 hours, you know, almost 5 hours on one. And I don't mean to do that, you know, but it's what happens when I go on lives, which is why I tend not to do a lot of them. I like to measure them out more, you know. There's a tendency for me to go on that channeling train. And once I'm on that train, you know, it's hard to disrupt the flow. And I can go a long time. And channeling, you know, those who do that kind of work, you know, it's taxing. It can be really taxing on the nervous system. So this coming through too, those of you who do psychic work, you might want to invest in a selenite wand. You can get for just a few bucks, you know. It's really great for clearing your energy out and just sort of having a clean template. Even after you do a reading for somebody, you know, you can just like, and it only takes a couple seconds. So this is what I really like about selenite, is that it's something you can do that can give you some energy clearing support. It doesn't take a long time. You can carry it on your person, or you can leave it in your space where you do your spiritual work, and it can help keep your energy clear. You can have one with you. Maybe you can use it like if you're working through relationship challenges with somebody and you're trying to work things out. Maybe you can use it like a talking stick, like whoever's holding the selenite has the floor. This is a way you can enter into some non-violent communication, working through conflicts, okay? Very interesting energies coming in. I kind of like that the energy is meandering, actually. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And anything that I start on and that I may miss, I'll address it in the comments. I realized on the last live I did, I'm trying to remember where it was. I think it might have been on the Cobra's Medicine Bag Live for the people that are dealing with food and body image issues, but I brought in Andrea's voice, and I wanted to speak to that, Andrea's story and what happened with her in a case of EDNOS, eating disorder not otherwise specified, and how she kind of fell through the cracks and what happened to her. And I totally like just like did like I did this morning. You know, the channeling took me down a different track. But I did put in the links of that video, and I've still got a couple more links to get for you all, and timestamps and such. The timestamps for the reading on that Cobra's Medicine Bag live we did on Thursday. But I put the resources so you could find out about Andrea and her story, because I'm like, oh man, I brought Andrea in and I never completed why I brought her in. It took me down a different track, but maybe that's because you all are meant to discover her story yourself and actually read about her story. It might have a different effect for you with you taking it in like that. And also for you just to have those resources and be pointed to the book that her mother wrote. Her mother actually set up a foundation in her memory. Okay, so there's something to be looked at there. All right, for those of you who are also dropping in with me on Thursdays on Cobra's Medicine Bag for additional support because you struggle with food or body image issues. Okay, or maybe if you're just really curious about the intuitive eating piece, but just know it's a space where it must be a very respectful space. It's a very therapeutic space, as is this, but there's just a higher level of boundaries that need to be held around that kind of work. So be mindful if you step into that space that there's a necessity to have a very respectful space held, okay? Let's get this first round of cards out on the board. We know we got temperance as the basis of our work. This already came in earlier this week, so we know we're still in this process, finding our balance. We're coming into this place of alchemy, you know? And I really feel the balance for us is not only between like the reciprocal flow, like the give and take in our connections and the situations we're invested in, is what we're nurturing us in return. This is something that we need to be very clear about. We also really need to look at that in terms of our engagements with others. You know, is there a mutual exchange, or is there one person that's kind of trying to do all the healing work, or trying to keep the relationship afloat, trying to nurture the relationship or caregive in the relationship? These are balances that need to be redressed. Okay, this is really coming in very strongly. I also feel that the alchemy work that needs to be done is a lot of purification work, a lot of puja work. We are on PANCHAKARMA. That's part of what we do here. But I also feel like spiritual baths front and center. I also feel like working with this element of water, particularly warm waters, working with like teas that you've infused with different herbs and spices, maybe making some herbal chai. Again, working with that chai that came in, the cocoa, rose, tulsi chai that is included, the recipe in the course, in the VATA course. So you can get those courses at cobrasmedicinebag.com. I'll put all those resources in the comments. Those resources will always be here, so I'm not going to like go into that every time that we have a live, or else we'll get really like caught up, okay? But there's this piece, you know, maybe even putting your intention in by what herbs and spices and such you choose to put in that hot water infusion, and you can like make yourself a little tea and drink in the essence of those things and get to know the plant medicines. And that's what brought me there. The plant medicines, the plants have always come in for me very interestingly. I knew it would come around back to the starting point and veered off, and now here we are. Okay, I've never been good with growing plants, but the plants come in for me in this way. Okay, this is how plants come in for me. I grok them in this way. I noticed a lot of the water plants are coming in. I noticed there's also a lot of plants associated with the planet Venus that are coming in. Yeah, this is how the plants come in for me, okay? The plants come in for me, you know, more magically, more metaphysically. They come in this way. And the plants that are coming in, they're all about kind of like, see the caduceus that's rising up between these two. Before there can be this balance of power, this sharing of power with another, there has to be a transmutation of the energy. This caduceus energy points the way. It's about alchemizing the energy. Again, it's that snake medicine, imbibing a bit of the poison to arrive at the cure. And that's what creates purification within these cups. Each has an ace of cups. Each has an ace of cups, which means I've come to the love within myself. I've poured within myself. I've nurtured myself. I've fulfilled myself. And because of this, I now have a cup of love to share with you. This is to people that have done that alchemy work. This is what the end goal is. This is the new beginning that is wanting to come in the fall with the Ace of Wands. And it's a very fertile beginning. Okay. It's a very fertile beginning. There's a wonderful reader here on YouTube called Green Eyes. I love Green Eyes. And Green Eyes calls this a boomstick or a poom poom stick. And yes, this is certainly there. Okay. It is also that joining together of the masculine and the feminine and that sensual dance. It's also the rising of the Kundalini, the Ida, the Pingala. Okay. All of these themes coming in here. You know, but how do we get these wings with the lion energy here? We have a clue. It's all about having that courage, right? Having the courage to look at what has poisoned these cups in the past, looking at the ways that we have sabotaged love in the past, looking at the ways we haven't been ready to receive love in the past, or things that we're holding on to that are preventing this coming together, where there's this desire for one person to have more power, more control in a dynamic. This doesn't just have to be romantically. This can be within a friendship. It can be within a relationship between a teacher and a student. It can be within the context of a family dynamic or a work situation, okay? But somewhere along the lines here, there's a need to find a place of balance. And this balance is first found within the self, within the masculine and the feminine polarities within the self, before it can be found externally with another. Now, I'm going to bring this piece in because gender is the piece that's come in. Gender is a hot topic right now, okay? In terms of myself, you know, I've always just been a person that, you know, I was born a girl. I've always felt like a girl. I'm very in touch with that, and I relate to the gender I was born into. I know that that's not the case for everybody. I know there's a lot of discrepancy, a lot of viewpoints about this. There's a lot that's been stirred up. There's also a lot of judgment, and there's a lot of colonialist, puritanical programming. And there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of propaganda. I'm going to be tackling that in a separate broadcast. Okay. I think it is an important topic, but I want to make sure the right space is held around this topic. There's a need for it. There's a need for a safe space to be held around that topic. Okay. But I want to speak in terms of just the fluid concept of gender. And we're looking at this in terms of all relationships so people can understand and relate to the energy. I want to be very all-inclusive here. So if you're not somebody who relates to gender in this way, like I'm a woman because I have woman parts and I'm a man because I have man parts, I want there to be like room for you so you can relate to what I'm bringing in here. That's very important to me to create an all-inclusive environment. So when I'm speaking of this coming into alignment with the masculine and the feminine within the self, we all have masculine, feminine polarities. These masculine, feminine polarities represent the active and the more receptive parts of our inner cosmology. Okay, the feminine is the receptive. The feminine is the soft, is the yielding, is the creative, and is associated with the dark aspect. Now, dark is not negative. Dark is just the point of potentiality. It's a creative potential that wants to emerge, but what is required for a creative potential to emerge? An avenue, a way through, a channel for that energy to funnel through, or some could say a birthing portal. How is that provided? It is provided by the masculine. The masculine energy provides that portal, that avenue of creation. Masculine is the active force. Okay, masculine gets things going. Masculine leads, and then that provides the way through for the feminine to bring the creative energy that leads to the manifestation. But both aspects are required if there's to be manifestation. Now, this can be why people run into an issue with being able to have abundance or fruition or any kind of manifestation in their lives, or why they may have trouble manifesting love, connection with others. If there is an overemphasis on one aspect of these polarities, masculine, feminine, there's going to be an imbalance. There's always this need to have this imbalance. This is the tempering work that needs to be done. This inner work has a name. It's called the conjuncto. It's called the sacred marriage. It's the key, the philosopher's stone, the holy grail of alchemy work is to have the conjuncto. It is the merging, it is the marrying of these energies of the masculine and the feminine within the self that exalts the energy. You could see this as the Kundalini rising. I don't know if you hear that, but this is like an alarm that they sound off here on the regular. It's just like a testing thing. It can be like a storm warning thing. Maybe there's a storm warning. But that's interesting that came up there. I did speak in earlier in the week about this energy that felt like an earthquake, like this energy building subterraneanly, you know, something that's like wanting to burst through, erupt, you know, and this gives kind of the Ace of Wands energy. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think there's this energy is kind of being held back, and I've been picking this up too. It has a lot to do with the sexuality, the sensuality, and the way that it's being used. You know, there's this thing when you hold back the sexual energy from outward expression, it builds the ojas in the body actually, but you will feel like kind of this mounting. How can I do? Well, mounting, it's a good way to describe it. It's sort of like a horse. Okay. It's sort of like a horse that you ride or a horse that rides you, you know, it all depends on how you perceive it, how you experience it in your body. But it's like a horse that's like chomping at the bit at the starting gate. Okay, it can build up this energy. This energy can be brought up though through your chakra channels. All right, this is a little bit of tantra work. All right, working with the pranayama, working with the breath. You can really take this energy if you feel this. Okay, you might be going through an uncoiling. This happens with Kundalini rising experiences. And I do want to bring this in because there's a lot of people at this time that are starting to have this experience. There's a lot of people that are awakening. It's true. And this is where it happens. It happens very viscerally in the body. And if you don't understand what's happening, it can be an experience that can bring you into this place of fear, or you can feel anxious about it. If you don't understand the sensations happening in your body, it also really does heighten your sensitivity. It can be a visionary experience in some cases. And anytime you're going through this kind of a process, anytime you're going through an energetic upgrade, it can be taxing on your nervous systems. This absolutely comes into play with VATA. So if you're going through an experience like this, you might feel it as a sensation, really like you really feel it in the lower channels. You really feel it first in Muladhara. You feel it first in your root chakra is where you will first notice it. So it's very visceral and it's very carnal. And you might experience it as heat, pulsation, feeling. If it feels like a buildup of energy. Now, some of you may want to immediately like release that energy in ways you would be accustomed to. You may want to release that energy through self-pleasuring or through, you know, connecting sexually with your partner. But there is a benefit in retaining this energy, especially in terms of looking at building the ojas in the body. And if you want to have a real inner alchemical experience of having that conjuncto where you unify the masculine and the feminine within the self, if you refrain from releasing the energy and instead you start working with your breath, okay, I'll bring this in. I think I'm going to bring this in because I'm going to do a healing session for you all. It'll be coming out later on tonight, all right? I'm going to bring in some energy work. I'm going to lead you through like a bit of a visioning process, and we're going to bring in some pranayama. We'll bring in the Durga pranayama that came in with the course, but I'm going to fuse it with some different elements, okay? I'm going to lead you through a process to work with this energy, how you can use the prana to take this energy from your root, okay, and bring it up and rise it up through your chakra channels. Now, if it's your first uncoiling, we want to really take that energy, and we'll begin here, okay, just for everybody, even if you've already had an uncoiling. You want to take that energy from the root and you want to bring it up using your breath all the way up through the crown, okay? And so you start working with this to start guiding the energy. It's almost like a focal point. And even with your eyes, the reason why we like close our eyes when we meditate and we turn both eyes up toward Ajna, the third eye chakra, is it's like a directive point. Okay, it quite literally, it's making this, this like triangular energy. It's like, this is where we want this energy to go. We want this energy to flow up. And once you've had your initial release of Kundalini life force energy, and you can't force it, okay? It's never wise to force it. If you're having these sensations, okay? And there's no harm in doing the breath work that I'll be teaching you. Everything that I'll be teaching you, all the pranayama, is completely safe, okay? So have no fear about encountering this healing session that I bring in later. I'm not going to do anything that's going to put you in a jeopardizing position. This is all about learning how to work with the flow of the pranayama and how to get this to actually unlock the energy centers in your body. Keep your chakra channels clear. Okay, this is good. You want your energy to be clear. The more clear that your energy centers are, the less old stuff you're carrying around with you. The more empowered you are, the healthier you are, the clearer you feel on all levels, every level, mind, body, spirit. The more things work out for you in your life, the better you're able to manifest, the more you're able to create. Okay, so this will be very helpful for this. But if you are having a uncoiling experience, maybe it's your first time, you're noticing weird sensations, let me just talk. It wants to be brought in. It's coming in this context, okay? It really is. It's coming in the context of like sexuality, sensuality, okay? Some of you are on journeys where you've decided, that you haven't enjoyed the way that you've been connecting in relationship on an intimate level. Whether you're actively with a partner right now, whether you're recently single, whether you've been alone for a long time and you haven't really wanted to enter the dating field, or you haven't wanted to connect with another, maybe because your sexual experiences have been dissatisfying, maybe because they felt disrespectful, maybe you have sexual trauma, okay? There could be many reasons why this exists. This is preventing you, from really coming together with another. Maybe even preventing shirt off. Shirt off in regard to what? Could you clarify, please? I'm not quite sure what that means with shirt off. Could you explain? I want to answer your question, but I'm not quite sure what that means. If you could clarify, I'd be happy to speak to that. So, it's very important, in this case here, if you're wanting to connect with somebody, if you're wanting to come into a place of deeper intimacy with another, we're speaking romantically, if you have a partner or you're wanting that, you're desiring that, there's a need first to like kind of clear that channel within yourself of old energy. You have to first arrive at this place of union and intimacy within yourself. This is Tantra, okay? People in the West, we look at Tantra, it's because it's become like this. It's become highly marketable. This is one thing that really disturbs me about the way yoga is practiced in the West, the way Tantra is understood in Western culture, is it's all viewed through this hyper-sexualized sort of mindset, okay? It's all viewed through this hyper-sexualized mindset. And I'm not really sure what this is about. So I'm just going to kind of like just put this on a time out for a minute, because that comment was unusual and not really feeling right to me. I'm trusting my intuition on that, okay? Maturity in this space, when we talk about these things, we're all adults, and if you're not an adult and you're under 18, you shouldn't be on this channel. And if you're an adult who can't handle such discussions without going to inappropriate places, then maybe you shouldn't be on this channel either. Okay, just want to bring that in. So if you're wanting to connect on this level, all right, with another, you're wanting a deeper level of intimacy. You don't want to just have some carnal experience. You're wanting to have a soul level experience with your partner. You may have been in a place where you've been refraining. Some of you have chosen celibacy, and this is a choice that you've made. those of you who've gone this route, there are a lot more people. I've really been noticing this. There's a lot more people that are choosing to go this route. They're choosing to forego just kind of like steeping themselves in hookup culture. They're holding out. They're holding out for somebody who wants to like really grow with them, for somebody who wants to develop a different level of intimacy, a higher level of intimacy. They're wanting to have different sensual experiences with another. They're wanting to have consciousness raising experiences with another. So first you have to kind of like arrive at this within yourself, and you can learn how to do this by, as you're in this place of refraining. This can be helpful for couples who've had intimacy challenges, you know, whether you're married, you've been with somebody for a long time, maybe you've had challenges in your relationship on this level. It can be good to consciously forgo for a while. It can take the pressure off of that aspect of your relationship, and it can allow you to focus on different aspects of your relationship that maybe needs strengthening, like your friendship, like your communication, okay? So the relationship piece is really wanting to come in today. I think this is something that a lot of people are really working through. A lot of people are trying to navigate this terrain. It's a source of stress for a lot of people, and it's where a lot of people are seeking healing at this time. Also, there's a lot of people in the collective that are in this place. There's new beginnings coming in the fall, opportunity to enter into new soul contracts or renew soul contracts, or have a healing in a soul contract with, you know, somebody that you have a great love for. All right. But there also is a lot of vulnerability there. And there's also both of your old stories, and there's a lot of your old stuff. And some of you have shared trauma. Some of you have trauma that you shared with each other. And so there's this need to transmute energy, come at it from a new way, refraining from like this instant sexual gratification. Whether your relationship is established or not, can be beneficial. It gives you time to get in touch also with your own sensual desires, your own needs, your own sensual energy. You have your own sensual energy, and you can run it at will at any time. You do not need to even find fulfillment outside of yourself on that level, to be honest with you. And there is a path of Tantra that's all about that. That's white Tantra. And that's what I'll be teaching here, okay, as we go through this process. There's other aspects of Tantra. There's pink Tantra, and then there's, I happen to love red Tantra, okay, but red Tantra is not for everybody. And you don't usually just jump right to red Tantra, okay? There's an elevation of the energy. Red Tantra is a lot more carnal, okay? Red Tantra, I would say, is a lot more hedonistic, right? I really resonate with red Tantra, but I've also worked white. I've also worked pink, okay? But we start at white. That's where you begin your exploration, okay? And that's the exploration of your own energy, learning how to run your own energy through kriyas, through pranayama, through different yogic methods, okay? So we'll do that. We'll bring that in tonight. How to get to this place where you can start to really merge and marry these energies within yourself. So when you do this, when you refrain and you allow yourself to focus on different aspects of healing within that relationship, and instead you take this desire that you normally would expend, right? You normally would spill out this ojas. And maybe in some cases, sometimes people have addiction to like hookups, you know, they have sexual addictions. It distracts them. It protects them from going deep with anybody. It's like, well, if I just kind of like have a one night stand, if I just kind of like have a lot of different people that, you know, I kind of like go to when I'm feeling empty inside or lonely, or I feel like I want somebody to, you know, make me feel like they care, then, well, you know, that can be sort of distractionary too from going to deeper places with people. And I'm not speaking out against polyamory in any way. I know that there's some people that really resonates with them. That's for them. And it works for them. They found a way to make that work where they can really go deep with people. I think it's very rare, to be honest with you. I do think it's very rare. I think for it to be successful, it requires a lot of consciousness between the people involved. I know it's not for me. I know there's a lot of people who feel the same way as me. They're like, I don't want that at all. But for those that it does resonate for, this can work. It's the same process though, even within an experience like that. It's so necessary for each person to really be in touch with this point of connection and intimacy within themselves, and really know how to run their energy, keep their own energy clear. And then when you bring your energies together, whew, you know, that's when real magic happens, okay? And then you can have the sensual becomes ecstatic. The sensual becomes elevated into a spiritual experience, a consciousness expanding experience. So a lot of you are having this experience right now, and you may be asked to kind of like just, build the energy, get in touch with the sweetness of letting the energy build, not being so impulsive. And I'm saying this because this is being informed by what's coming through with the I Ching that we got here. Okay, so we know you got a new beginning coming in love. We know that there's something that's healing here, okay, with the caduceus there. We know there's a need to transform, alchemize something here, because we already had temperance show up on the bottom of the deck energy. Okay, temperance, Sagittarius energy. Ace of Wands timing card. This is coming in the fall. Okay, you're going to see a beginning, a new beginning in love, and an opportunity to heal a connection and come into union. But first, you each have to have your own Ace of Cups filled. No gross cup. That's what the quest for the Cauldron of Dagda is all about. We are going for that, nurturing cup, that Ace of Cups. We're looking to come to a place of restoration, revitalization within ourselves. That's also the same aim that we're looking at when we're doing Panchakarma with VATA. It's about filling the coffers. It's about finally having our cups full so that we're able to pour into another. Okay, so this is a very important piece. Let's see what else wants to come in around this. I think this is interesting. Then I'm going to kind of use the tarot to also go into what came through for the I Ching for us, all right? So tell me more about the work to be done around this coming together with it. It looks like a soulmate. Looks like there's themes of sensuality, sexuality coming in. Looks like there's themes of, for some people, Kundalini awakening, wanting a higher level of intimacy, needing to alchemize some energies, not bring in energy from the past. This is for the whole collective. I'm going to call in all the signs, okay? So for Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Ophiuchus, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. All right. It's interesting with Pisces. Oh, okay. With Pisces, coming out as a crossing card, with that came death. Okay. So bottom of the deck energy. 6 of Wands, victory. All right. How can death be victory? Well, because before we can have a rebirth, people always forget this about the death card. Before there can be a rebirth and a renewal, there first has to be an ending. This is the way life works. We're all on the wheel of karma. Life is an endless cycle of birth, life, death, rebirth. That is the karmic wheel, okay? And we're all on this karmic wheel because we're here. We're in a physical body. As long as we are in a physical body, we are subject to this until we're free of it, until we enter that state of moksha, okay? But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. And when we're looking at death, of course, we look at that on the level of physicality, our immortality. Certainly true. There will come a point where we shed this outer shell, okay? And we merge with the one great energy. We drop the ego identity and we discover the reality of what we truly are, just one resounding note rippling through all of existence. In fairy, we call that ecstasis, okay? It's the same trip, all right? But first, there has to be the ending, the letting go. But we experience death on a regular basis, and it's interesting, even in speaking in terms of sexuality, they call orgasm the little death, right? The little death. Well, why go for the little death when you can have the big death? You know what I'm saying? When you can really elevate that energy. So this piece coming in, if you can keep yourself out of this place where you're kind of juggling the energy, dividing the energy. I'm staying on this track because this is what was coming in. Dividing the energy, juggling the energy, maybe giving the energy too freely, maybe spilling it out among too many people. you know, or giving it in a way that's imbalanced, or when you're imbalanced. Maybe you have a partner that's really high pressure, you know. Maybe this is what's causing problems in the connection. This person's always pressuring for sex, or they have certain demands, and then you feel pressure to perform when you don't feel up to it. And then when you enter into that sphere, it's unrewarding, or it just doesn't work. Okay. And it's nobody's fault, but it can cause a lot of emotional separation. It can cause you to feel like two ships passing in the night. It can cause emotional imbalance, right? Notice there's no balance between these two. This is supposed to be balance, the infinity symbol, but it's out of balance. And this is because energy is being spilled out in an unconscious way. I feel around the intimacy. This is something that needs to be restored, but it's something that can't be restored until there's first, like, there's a need to kind of like, you know, when we going back to that horse imagery, like when the horse is at the starting gate, there's a need to have some reins. You're a jockey, right? You better have some reins. I mean, you can go bareback, but in a horse race, that's going to be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So there's a need to kind of like be able to have a little, just pull back a little bit. See what happens if you're somebody who's like this. If this is your tendency, that, you know, intimacy scares you. Intimacy scares the bejesus out of you. Going really deep sexually with somebody scares you. You'd rather have fun, frivolous hookups. That speaks more to you. You like to keep it light and breezy on the surface. You don't like commitment. It totally freaks you out. Like the idea of going deep with one person, or if you're in a polyamory dynamic, you know, whatever, going real deep with a triad, whatever. There's something there, you know, where you always feel like a place of disconnect. Maybe it makes your anxiety go up. You get nervous. You feel like you're going to lose yourself. You feel like you're going to lose your autonomy. Or maybe you had really negative experiences in the past and you feel like, oh no, if I allow myself to be vulnerable, if I let down my guard, this person's going to take advantage of me. They're going to betray my trust. I'm going to be abused. I'm going to be mistreated. I'm going to be left out in the cold, whatever it may be. Okay. All this stuff is coming forward. This is what leads to the imbalance. Like, I don't know if I should do this or not. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if I can trust this person. And it can, in some cases, keep people kind of like operating on the surface, you know, because it's safer. It's safer than really heading into the core issue, this ocean of emotion, you know, that is what's keeping you like two ships passing in the night, all right? So it can be helpful if you're dealing with these imbalances where there's a lot of pressure put around intimacy, or a lot of pressure put around how to connect. And if it's kind of like your go-to, your default to like go really superficial, or maybe start like distancing yourself from the person you really want to connect with, and instead you start kind of like going out. And this is for, well, maybe not for single people. It might be people who step out on their relationships. Maybe you have this pattern too. It's all wanting to come in. Maybe you have a pattern of infidelity, or maybe you're somebody who's dealt with people that cheat on you all the time. And so this has caused a lot of problems, okay? Refraining from going there, you know, initially, and instead finding like your own inner stability, your own sense of emotional balance, and also getting very clear about who you are as a sensual creature, what you need, how do you want to connect intimately? Have you ever really given it real deep consideration? Have you ever really held space for that? And have you considered how your relationships have been in the past, and how that felt for you, and how that's currently influencing your relationship? Or just your relationship to the whole concept of love, or coming together with another in general, or even if you're asexual, coming together, you know, just in terms of connection with anybody. Okay. So all of these pieces coming in, there's a need to find balance here. And I feel the balance comes in through the physical, you know, being mindful of this. I feel like the balance comes in through the physical as well, through building the ojas in the body, which is what happens when you refrain from outer orgasm, okay? You don't spill the essence. You can have an inner orgasm. That's what Kundalini is. Kundalini is a very pleasurable experience, certainly. It absolutely is. transcendent experience. I've gone through several uncoilings. I continue to. They say you go through 7. You go through 7 uncoilings. So once you have an experience, and you'll know it, you'll know it when it actually uncoils. There's probably a lot of you that are starting to have the experience of it's getting prepared to uncoil. All right. I think I've been running into a lot of this and talking to people. What does that look like? Visionary experiences, new sensations in the body. It can feel like pulsating heat, a buildup of pulsating heat right at the root, right down there, right around all the cash and prizes, man. Okay. And that's why at first it can make you like impulsive, like you want to like release that energy. You might want to release that energy sexually. But there's other sensations that come along with it. You know what I'm saying? You might get the slows. I call it the slows. It's like all of a sudden before this comes on, you start to notice you'll go through a few days where you feel like really like, whoo, like really tired, okay? And you enter into more of a kind of like a dream time sort of state, a dreamy sort of state. You might have very active dreams. You might get a lot of psychic impressions. You might have clairs waking up. You might notice your sensitivity increases. You can start to then feel like this pulsation, okay? That's usually what happens. It feels like pulsing, you know, a pulsing energy. It's all happening right down there. Now, this is where a lot of people get stuck, and that's why I'm going to bring in this healing session later where you can learn if you do start to have this experience, or if you already are having this experience, you can start to use the pranayama, that Durga pranayama, the breath work that we are learning to bring that energy up. You don't want to keep that energy down there, okay? So there's 2 ways you can dispel that energy. Most people dispel it by self-pleasure, or they go and they hook up with someone, or they make love to their partner. And that's how they spill the ojas and they release the energy. Okay, now it's relieved. But if you choose to retain it, if you're somebody who's practicing celibacy, and if you refrain from self-pleasure, and instead you start working with the breath, with the prana, and you do that Durga pranayama, and with focus and intention, which I'll teach in the healing session we do tonight, you can start to raise that energy up your chakra channels. You can start to point it where it needs to go, which is released through the crown. And in doing that, you can experience that conjuncto, the height of the Bengala, and you can have this Kundalini awakening. It won't be the first, okay? Once you have it once, there's other uncoilings that come. But here's the thing that you need to understand about this. You've got to be aware of the siddhis, okay? And over on Cobra's Medicine Bag, in the live we did over there for people dealing with food and body image issues, we decided that we're going to start a book club there, and we're going to kick that book club off on October 14th. And our first book that we're going to read is going to be the Yoga Aphorisms of Patanjali. And there's a new translation out of it, or newer translation, called How to Know God. So we're going to work with that book. So if you want to know more about this and go real deep with it, I suggest, you know, you look into that book. I put links on the live on that Cobra's Medicine Bag video. So you can just hop on over to that channel and check out the links section, the resources. And you're welcome to drop in and take part in the book club. And we're just going to have like a live to talk about the material, talk about the chapters, and we're going to meet starting on New Moon, which is a new moon in Libra on October 14th. Okay. So, you know, we know that in allowing ourselves to kind of bump up against these places that we've outgrown, you know, these behaviors we're wanting to shed, this elevation that we're wanting to experience in our lives by letting old cycles die, come to an end, clearing out old energy. This is why we first focus on ourselves, the Ace of Cups. It's to make sure that your cup is cleared. You're a clear channel for love to work through. That doesn't just benefit you personally in your life. It benefits all your relationships as well. You can only bring a quality of love to the table and receive a quality of love as you are able to give and receive. So that's an inside job that starts with you. So there's really a need to clear out like old narratives, old storylines, old energy from past partners, maybe even clear out some old STDs, sexually transmitted demons, energy that's still corded into you from old levers. I'll put up a link to that in the comments of this video. I think I was supposed to do that in another video and I forgot to do it. So I'll make sure to do it on this video, okay? We know that doing this, that letting the old cycle end, it brings success, okay, to the tune of the Six of Wands. This is the positive direction to head into. And what does it lead to? It leads to the full fruition of manifestation, the Ten of Pentacles. This is entering the flow of abundance. This is coming into the place where there is harmony between that balance of masculine and feminine. And even this goes back to the gender fluidity for those who resonate on that level, okay? That's not my journey. That's not everybody's journey here. But there are people here in this community that is their journey. And we will hold respectful space around people that are having that as their journey, okay? You understand, even you understand that in relationships, the thing that might be different for you all, and I'm not going to speak for you because I don't know, but from what I gather from communications I've had with people who do really run more of a fluid energy in terms of gender, what I've come to understand in communicating with you is that this is a role that can shift. It can change, not only within yourself, but within your partnerships as well. And so we always know that, and this can even happen in relationships where, you know, you've been born a woman, you've always felt a woman, and, you know, you're in a relationship with a man, you represent kind of more that heterosexual energy. There can still be times even in your relationships in that case where you may be a woman, but you may take on more of the masculine role, more of the active role. Or you may be, you know, a man and your feminine energy comes more forward. Okay. So like, it's so interesting, all this stuff that's been created around gender and confusion around, I feel like it's overcomplicated things. It's really not complicated. It doesn't really matter how you express it. You know, if you're someone like me and you're like, well, I'm heterosexual, I identify with the gender I was born as, and that's my story. Cool. And if you're somebody who's more fluid, cool. If you're somebody who identifies as trans, cool. You know, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's all the same trip because we both hold the masculine, the feminine energies. No matter how we identify, the masculine and the feminine is in freaking everything in existence. No matter how you funnel it or your outer expression of it, it's irrelevant. It's a moot point. In fact, all of creation is that polarity of the masculine and the feminine coming together. We see it in pollination. All right, this is how the world works. It's masculine, feminine coming together, masculine and feminine coming together. However you choose to exercise that in your own life, it's irrelevant in the bigger picture of things. So this is about first coming to that place of balance within yourself, of your own masculine, feminine energies. And then you will be able to share that from that place in context of relationship with another, however you choose to exercise your relationships, whoever you choose to come together with, and whatever that looks like, okay? That's your personal business. That's intimate. That's your private affairs. I think that's something that is kind of like, is a little bit missing from our current culture, you know, in terms of how we view sexuality. There's a real sort of lack of intimacy that's present. And when we're looking at Tantra, like, intimacy is important. It's sacred, you know, and that's kind of been missing for a long time. In recent years, it's just like, especially as just time has gone on, everything has become so like, sexuality is just like flaunted everywhere, right? It's like you go through your feed on social media and you got like booties shaking at you everywhere, and you know, and that's great if you want to do that, but not everybody wants to receive that. And then where's the boundaries around that? You know, where's the intimacy around it? You know? And so these are things that are kind of like coming forward, I feel, a lot in the collective consciousness that everybody's looking at, and is their relation to these things. And where do they need to have boundaries, and where do they need to maybe like open up their minds a little bit more, broaden their perspective a bit more, okay? But we know that from doing this work and letting old belief constructs and old stuck ways of viewing things and old things that have maybe like kept us tied to a storyline or even an identity, even your identity as a sexual creature, you know, stuck in an old framework in the past that is long gone, right? We know that until we let this go, until we cleanse this, until we release this, there can't be this beautiful new beginning that's wanting to come in. This is what the Quest of the Cauldron of Dagda is all about. This is what our Panchakarma work is all about. It's about overcoming the shadow. It's like, yes, let the shadow inform you, but don't let it rule you. Hold it in its proper perspective. And right now, the shadow is really out of balance. So what does that mean? When we got like an excess of shadow aspect, that means we really need to start focusing on building the light. And building the light within the self through retention, through like elevating this sexual energy, through activating that Kundalini life force, through tantric practices, which is not sex necessarily, and certainly not with white tantra. It's meditation practices, it's pranayama practices, it's kriyas. And this is what we need to learn in Western culture, because we've become like over-sexualized, hyper-sexualized, sex sells. And it's become so like almost degrading, right? To the extent that then we wonder why. Why am I having these experiences that just don't feel honoring? Why am I feeling disrespected in my sensuality? Why does it not feel safe to open up to the expression of this? Well, that's why. That's why. So there's a big piece about restoring this sense of balance within ourselves. You know, honor the inner temple. Let it be a wild, sacred garden. You know, there's a quote. What is this about? I wish I could remember the quote. I'll have to look it up. It's about be mindful of who you let travel your sacred lands, you know? There's this real need for people at this time to come back to this place, just the sacredness of their bodies. I feel like body autonomy is very important. It is. That's the only thing that really separate, if you think about it, it's all one energy, right? But what does create differentiation? What does create a sense of separateness in the energy? These physical forms are bodies. So this is our own like channel of that one energy. You know, this is our cup, our ace of cups, our physical bodies. And so there's something sacred about that. Like only you get to choose how that energy is run. Only you get to choose how that energy is expressed. So wherever you're feeling a lack or a challenge and coming together with another in a fulfilling way, this is a really important piece that wants to come in. It's about really getting your energy right within yourself first, okay? You do that, and then this new beginning is going to come in the fall to be able to connect with another on that level, romantically, in a place of love, in a place of perfect trust, okay? And also intimately, and have it be a totally different experience where both parties' needs are met, where there's mutual affinity and connection, where it's sexual healing, Marvin Gaye energy coming through. That's what it is. It's that energy. Look at that. Boom. I mean, this is something to celebrate. This is a triumph. This is a coming together, something that's built to last, right? It's a beautiful outcome. But before we can arrive at that place, and I love how I started at the outcome, because now we're getting to where we're at right now. This is the work that needs to be done. What's right behind on the bottom of the deck? This is great. Okay, we want this. This looks fantastic. But this is where we're at right now. We got the Seven of Swords coming in with the Seven of Swords. We got the Seven of Wands. I can't make it up. We got the Seven of Cups. My goodness. What are we missing? We're missing the Seven of Pentacles. What's the Seven of Pentacles? The Seven of Pentacles is about growth. It's about growth and progress. Let me just take a sip of my dirty chai here for a moment. This is what we need to overcome. This is a lot. Okay. Do you see what's happening here? Let me spell it out for y'all. Okay. Seven of Swords. Y'all have been ripped off. You know, people have used you. People have abused you. People have lied. They've gotten away with some shady stuff. People you trusted, people you believed in. It's left you worse for the wear. You're expecting more of this. And because you're expecting more of this, you're broadcasting a signal out there where that's exactly what you're going to draw. Because what we focus on is what we manifest. So if you're in this space where you still got your old shadow stuff and you have not alchemized this energy, you have not healed from it, you haven't gotten back to your center, you haven't told yourself the truth about these situations, which is you let this happen to you. Be honest. There's always a point in these kind of situations, these kinds of connections, where you spot the red flags. You spot the red flags and you usually speak to it. You talk to the person like, this isn't feeling right to me. Like, is everything okay? Is something going on? Or I notice, like, just bringing it in because it came in. I'm noticing, something's changed in our love making. Something feels different. Is there an issue? Is something happening here? Do we need to talk? This is usually what happens. And there's usually one person who brings this forward. 9 times out of 10, it's the one who holds the feminine position in the relationship is the one that brings this forward. Unless it's the feminine one that's going cold and shutting down, in which case it's still the feminine. The masculine's feminine side comes forward because they feel the vulnerability, they feel hurt, they feel the insecurity, they want to know what's happening here, okay? So this communication comes in, all right? And normally what happens is the other person feels too defensive, all right? Here we got it, the defensive, the blocks come up, oh no, is this an attack? Walls come up, I don't want to talk about this. Maybe a person feels insecure about it if there's performance issues going on. Okay, so this blockage comes in. Nope, now you're getting too close. You will not pass. I'm blocking the energy now. And so this is what happens. Now there's no clear communication in the connection. Now there's just this problem that exists. There's no way to come to a solution because nobody's willing to hold space for what's uncomfortable. Anytime you're going to arrive at a solution, anytime you're going to work through any kind of healing process, there's the necessity to hold space for some really uncomfortable shit. I'm sorry, it's true. You cannot heal without going through pain. You cannot just go, well, that was then. This is now. If you're healing a relationship where there was betrayal, where somebody cheated, where somebody stepped out, which is a lot of this kind of Seven of Swords energy, where there was deception, okay, where there's been a betrayal of trust and you're trying to heal a relationship, whether that's a romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's something in a family dynamic, whether it's somebody you work with, it doesn't matter. It's the same core issue. You cannot just hit the reset button and go, okay, well, that was then and this is now, and now we move forward. It doesn't work like that. There is a need to clear out the energy, but this is what's important. The energy, and this is in alignment with the I Ching, as you'll find. We'll read about this. This is what's going to cap it off, is the I Ching that came in for us this week. What's needed is to deal with it swiftly. To let it be like a storm that comes through and washes everything away and makes everything clear. We all know what happens when there's a storm. There's thunder, there's lightning, there's rumbling, it's awakening. Some could view that as the tower, okay? The revelation of, that moment, that revelatory moment. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing something in myself, in my relationship, in this connection, in this situation that I never recognized before. Oh my gosh, it's blowing my mind. This is a lot to take in. Ouch, this hurts. But there's the need to just go into the center of it. You got to be the eye of the storm and go like, okay, let's do it. Let's have this clear out. So you clear it out, you talk it out. Maybe, emotions get wild. Okay. Maybe sometimes people need to take a breather. That's okay. And you can't force the pacing of something either. But as much as you're able to, and as expeditiously as you can, you want to move this old energy out. What you don't want to do is stay in this place. Nope, I don't want to talk about it. Nope, that was then, this is now. Nope, let's just sweep it under the rug. Nope, why are you always bringing this up? You're insecure. You have a problem. Gaslight, 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 gaslight. And let me tell you, I want to clear this up. I said I was going to bring it in, so I'm going to bring it in. People can gaslight, and they can be just somebody who's like really in a place where they feel vulnerable, they don't feel safe. You're starting to touch on sensitive material for them. Their trauma responses are being activated. Okay, there's a reason why people act out in unhealthy ways. Hurt people do hurt people. But guess what? Healed people also heal people. So the more that we can become like conscious and aware of our actions and the way we move, and we can understand that when somebody's coming at us like that, like, ooh, okay, this person's activated because I'm coming up against something that they feel really sensitive about. They're in defense mode right now. It doesn't make what they're doing okay. It doesn't, okay? It's not making it right. It's to come to an understanding of the dynamics involved in the situation. Somebody can gaslight and they may not be a clinical narcissist. You need to understand this. Clinical narcissism is actually very rare. People in general, humans in general, will have times in their life when they act out of their ego, where it's all about them and they can't see another's perspective. And sometimes this happens when they feel very activated because they're bumping up against something that they have a deep sensitivity or wounding around, right? So if there's this defensive posturing, no, I'm not going to answer those questions. No, we're not going to talk about what happened back there. No, we're going to sweep it under the rug. If you're dealing with somebody like this, there's not going to be any kind of healing possible in the situation. It's going to just be confusing. Confusing. And that's when you get that Two of Pentacles energy. I don't know. Should I go forward with this or not? I don't know. Should I choose this or not? And you end up being two ships passing in the night. Why? There's no clarity. Well, I don't know what's in this cup that's being offered to me. This could be anything. There's a mystery here. This cup could have something inside of it that could poison me. You know, this may just be a castle in the sky. This may be illusion. You know, I may drink this cup and I may lose my mind. It may drive me crazy. There could be absinthe in this cup. You know what I'm saying? It creates like smoke and mirrors, and then there's no clarity. All right. So you got to get clear with yourself. A lot of you are in this space that have not been in relationship for a while. Maybe you've been single for a while. Maybe you've been holding off on getting involved with somebody because your last connection was like very painful. Maybe the person cheated on you. Maybe they did gaslight you. Maybe they gave you the silent treatment. Maybe you were in an abusive relationship. There's lots of different ways this could play out. But either way, I know you felt emotionally ripped off. I know you felt like you wasted your time. I know you're expecting more of the same. I know you're defensive. I know you're blocked. You got your heart totally guarded, and you're confused and you're scared. And you may want love, but at the same time, you don't want to get led down a garden path again. You don't want to end up in this place where you're confused, and you don't want to feel like you have no idea what you're dealing with or what's being presented to you. And I would say to you, if you're in a position where you're dealing with somebody where you have that kind of confusion, where you're like, I don't know what's going on. If you're confused, that is definitely not the time to be impulsive and act. Let the waters settle. Let the waters become clear. You know, when the waters are churned up, when the emotions are churned up, all that sediment, all that stuff, all that repressed material, it gets stirred up and it clouds things, and then you can't see clearly. So it's okay to communicate, you know what? I care. Yes, I'm here. And at the same time, I just need some space for myself because I need to get very aware of where I'm at and what I'm feeling, what's coming up for me. And if you have a dynamic that you're trying to heal with somebody where you consistently have had these problems, maybe there's been a lot of push-pull dynamics in your connection, this is even more important because you can't heal that until you're both really clear and you're also both, or if you're in, you know, a multiple party dynamic or family dynamic, all of you are in this place where you can come in very cleanly. For some of you, this may require a certain space to be held therapeutically. You might need a counselor. You might need a mediator. That's okay too. It's okay. You know, sometimes you need to call in reinforcement and support. And if the relationship means that much to you, the dynamic means that much to you, that you're willing to do that work, that's a beautiful thing. Okay. But that is what's required. Okay. Everybody needs to be able to come into a situation, whatever parties are involved in a dynamic like this, and they need to be able to feel like they can bring their truth forward, that that truth will be held respectfully, that there won't be outside interference from people that have no part in that relationship, that situation, inserting their opinion, asking what's going on, being nosy. Okay, there's intimacy around these matters. So there's also rules of engagement. Maybe you had a partner and they ran off and they talked to other people about the issues in your relationship. Maybe you have a partner that every time they have an issue with you, or a friend or whatever, they go and they post about it on social media. They call you out. They embarrass you. They humiliate you. Okay? There's a lot of ways this can play out. Morning. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's true. All right? It's true. Okay? This right here. This is what people are dealing with. All right? There's a need for safe space for a lot of people at this point to even be able to come into relationship with another in a healthy way. This is what we're healing, right? This is what we're healing, right? And so this is why people tend to be in this space. Four of Cups. I want healing. That's what the Three of Cups represent. I want healing. I want love. I want it to feel safe. I want reconciliation. I don't want to be at odds with people that I care about. But I feel like I got to protect myself. I don't want to be disappointed again. I don't want to be hurt again. But see, look, Spirit's giving you the answer. It's the Ace of Cups. People see Ace of Cups and they think, ooh, new beginning in love with another. No, it's a single cup. It's a single cup. It's the single cup that is brought by each partner in the Two of Cups to the table. This is where you're both at. You're both here. You're in this dynamic with somebody. It may be a lover. It may be somebody you used to know. It may be somebody you've had a falling out with. It may be your husband, your wife. It could be somebody that's your teacher. It could be somebody that does healing work with you. It could be your friend. It could be, you know, somebody you work with. It could be somebody you're in a band with, okay? It can play out numerous ways. It could be your child, right? You're both in this place. You are both feeling this right now. You both want healing. You both want celebration. You both feel very attached to what your experience was in the situation. And you're both being stubborn and you're closed off. And Spirit's saying, look, you're not ready for this yet. And that's why it's not coming in. I'm giving you the answer right here. Before you can have this Two of Cups, you have to have a cup to offer. And right now, you don't got shit. You need to fill your cup. And you need to let me pour into you. And then you'll move out of this. And then the other that can meet you in that space will come in. And for some of you, it may be somebody entirely new. It may be somebody that you're not even aware of yet. And maybe what you want right now won't be what you want down the road once you pour into yourself and once you get your own energy right and clear. Okay? Now, what comes in along with this? We have a card that has a covering influence. Absolutely, I agree with this too. This is interesting. I don't know how your comment just got up here. I think I meant to take off your other comment and I put this one on. So this is interesting, but this is true. And this is what I was talking about. It's the balance between the shadow and the light, right? It takes great bravery for people to own their shadow. It's a must for access to my deeper world these days. Alone would be better. A man who can do that is sexy. It's true. A woman who can do that is sexy too. It works both ways. It really does. It works both ways. But you know what else is also really hard for some people to do? It's really hard for some people to own their light. And a lot of people don't talk about that. We focus a lot on shadow. Sometimes it's easy to own your shadow. Sometimes it's easy to own your shadow. Sometimes owning your shadow is the easiest thing in the world. I'm a loser. I'm a fuck up. I never get it right. I'm toxic. I don't know how to be intimate. I don't know how to make a commitment. I don't know how to love. Nobody wants to be with me. I'm a bad person. I'm a cheat. So why would anybody want to be with me? I'm a liar. I hurt people I love. I don't even deserve love. There's a lot of people who find it very easy to stay in their shadow and own their shadow. It's a lot harder for them to go. And actually, I actually feel there was a time when I felt that it was really hard to own the shadow. And that's when I was in shadow mode. I've transmuted that energy though. My shadow's always there. Just like when I step outside and I'm facing the sun, which is what my focus is in my life now, it's on light. My shadow's always there. It's always following behind me. I know my tendencies, okay? I know my proclivities. I know my trauma. I know what I've been through. I no longer let it rule me, though. It's there as an informant. It's there to help keep me centered at times when I may feel tempted, okay, to act out of my lower nature. But it's not ruling the roost by any means. I let the light lead the way now because it feels better. Now, light is much harder to own, especially if you're somebody who's been steeped in shadow work, right? Because this is where the collective's at right now. I'm really glad you brought that piece in, Julie, because I feel like it's important. That's where the collective's at right now. The collective is in this place where they've been grappling with so much shadow, they're overly identified with it. But this is a big problem because with the, cosmic magnetic background, we got an overemphasis. This is science here. This is physics here. We have an excess of dark energy, dark matter in the multiverse right now, which means we're very slowly, even as time is speeding up and shifting, careening to the cessation of life as we know it. The cessation of this planet as we know it. There's no more light for creating right now, watch the Great Attractor read I put out. I'll put a link on this video. The Great Attractor read I did, it was a late night talk in tarot. It talks all about this. We can consciously build this light. We can activate it because we are all one energy. So the more of us that focus on light, it has a bang on effect. We can build light. Then we really move into that place of co-creators in existence, recognizing that, oh, wait, I am that. I am creator. But right now, the dark forces are in charge. It's true. And we're also in the age of the Kali Yuga, the final stages. Dark forces prevail. Apathy, laziness, gluttony, greed, lust, all of these, the desire for power, to warlord power. This is what the age of the Kali Yuga is about. But what are we also on the precipice of? In the middle of 2025, we have the dawning of the age of Aquarius. On the other side of that, we're like at the home stretch. But too many people are focusing on the darkness, and they're in this protective space, and they're in a me versus you space where there's no like getting on the same page, and without understanding that this is all interconnected. There is no separation. It's really hard to overcome that. And people have a hard time accepting the light, especially when they've been steeped in the shadow, and especially when they've had a lot of people put them down, or they've had a lot of rough relationships, or they've been tossed aside, or they feel like they've been neglected, or they feel like they've been rejected or abandoned, or maybe they've been abused. Maybe a false narrative was projected upon them. It's very much harder for that person to go, I'm worthy of love. I am love. I'm worthy of care and consideration. My truth matters. My experience matters. What I have to contribute has value. That's so much harder. It's so much harder. It really is. And, that might be something that we really need to flip-flop around. It really is time to wrap up the shadow work. I mean, we were all supposed to do that when there was the shift in the nodes of destiny. That's what Libra and South Node is about. You have to remember Libra is the Queen of Swords. She cuts it off. She's like, okay, that's nice. We determined what the shadow was. We determined what didn't work. We determined what was out of balance. And what are you waiting for? It's time to cut that off. And now you need to move forward. But what's happening is people are staying stuck in the spin cycle. Nope, I'm just going to keep nurturing the wound. I'm going to keep telling my story about what happened back then. And I'm going to keep staying in this blocked place. And so they're perpetuating the shadow and they're staying in karmic spin cycle. And we're going to stay stuck there until we change this energy. What's behind this? Look, boom, in the moon. Confusion, lunacy. Still thinking we're in the dark when we're actually, look what's behind the moon, the sun. It's like, look, the sun is here, okay? We just had the final wrap up of the lunar eclipses that occurred on the 29th with the Aries energy, okay? But now we got to wrap up the solar eclipse cycle, all right? So we have a new moon coming in on October 14th. And that is going to be, I believe it's a partial solar eclipse, and that new moon will be in Libra, okay? So big balancing energy is starting to come in around this. And of course, we have this whole time of the year that as we start to move closer and closer and closer toward winter solstice, right now we're in this dark phase, but the light will start to build, right? We'll get to that darkest point at winter solstice, but as we head to Yule, oh, we welcome the Sun King. This is that whole story of welcoming the light back. Well, we're being asked to consciously start building the light within. And without light, I'm really getting, it's the same thing that came up in the Great Attractor read, okay? Building that light of Sirius, the dog star, the spiritual sun. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It is. It's the guiding light. It's what guides us into our destiny, into our North Node. There's a need to stop being in this place of confusion. Twice came up, okay? It's interesting. This may be something that's coming up around the sign of Pisces. May also be coming up around the sign of Cancer. Both Cancer, Pisces can be associated with the moon. Scorpio with the death, okay? All water sign energies, okay? There's something that needs to be clarified in water element right now. It's a little murky. It's a little out of balance. It's a little distorted. Do look where you have water in your chart and look at where you might have some distortion going on, okay? Notice what house it's in. What does that house rule over? What other planets do you have there? What are those planets about? This is an opportunity for you to start to do some research. That's why I want you to have a notebook, okay? So you can start jotting down okay, research the planets in my chart and research my chart, Where is my progressions? Where are my transits? Okay, so all of this stuff. This is an educational empowerment experience. I'm going to funnel through the information, but it's your job to do the research and connect the dots. Super important, right? And what's crossing this energy? Look, I'm freaking telling you. If you do this work, look what comes in. 4 of Wands. There's the 4 of Wands, the alignment, the celebration, what you're wanting. The 1111 card. Look, you both got your flowers. We made it. Cheers. This is the celebration. This is the healing. This is the stability. This is the 10 of Pentacles. Okay, this is what everybody hopes for. It's the true union. And there's the Emperor energy. The counterpart to the Libra energy, Empress and South Node. This is rising up into the destiny. So this is what's available. And it's there. It's there for the grabs, okay? But not without doing the work. And there's a real need to create a line of demarcation under the past and like step into the future. I'm going to do a cut of the deck energy here, and then we're going to go over this I Ching information so you can see the way this read beautifully correlates with what came in for the I Ching for us. Yeah, look at this. This is what's wrong right now. It's an imbalance of power. Do you see this? Here's this energy, the scales, all right? Those karmic scales, the scales of justice. Is the heart lighter than the feather, right? Big Ma'at energy, all right? Big Anubis energy as well, right? So this very front and center here, Anubis, you know, dog star energy, again, coming in. This piece here, look at, you got this imbalance, right? First of all, we got triad energy here. So when we're looking in terms of a relationship between two people, let's look at that aspect first. In a relationship between two people here, there's some outside element. It could be a third party, all right? I feel it's a third party influence that's throwing things out of balance between two. This could be another lover. This could be somebody had an affair. This could be a meddling friend. It could be a meddling family member. This is a need to respect intimacy. This means if you're having issues with your person, you don't go and blab about it to their friends or your friends or outside people. That's between you and your partner. That's what it means to have true soul union and intimacy within the context of a romantic relationship. You don't gossip, and you don't go to that, like, you know, catfish on social media, or that chick that's your girlfriend's friend who's, oh, I'm just here to offer help and a helpful ear, that is actually flirting with you. You know, this is like, these are really compromising arrangements, and this is the kind of stuff that's going on in the world today, right? I see it all the time. I'm reading for people. I see it all the time. I've experienced it in my own life. I know tons of people who have. This is very common nowadays. And in fact, social media causes a lot of problems in relationships for this reason. People uninvited into your intimate zones. Whoa. A hawk just flew by the window. And it wasn't just any hawk either. It was like a white hawk, like an osprey. Wow. Wow. That's a big message. And it was low too. Wow. Message from spirit. This can really cause a lot of problems. And if you're engaging in these kind of activities and you're wondering why things aren't working in your relationships, this is why. It's a real violation of intimacy. It's a violation of trust. It's a violation of respect. Like, with what's going on between you and your relationship is between you and your person, not you and the World Wide Web, not you and her girlfriends or his guy friends. Like, no, that's totally inappropriate. It's really gross energy. There's no other way to refer to it. It is. Okay, but in some case, there's some outside entity. This could be a third party in the form of a nosy friend, nosy family member. This could be a mistress, or, you know, a dude on the side. This could be an addiction. You know, somebody has a drinking problem, somebody who has a drug problem, somebody who has sexual addiction. You know, somebody who's addicted to sexting people. Maybe they're not going out and actually, you know, hooking up, but they're sexting, you know, and that's diverting energy from the person they're with. Okay. There's a lot of things. This could be money. You know, somebody is always like overworking. Their whole focus is their work, and all they care is about money, material things. And so they have no time, no energy, no nurturing to pour into the relationship. This could also be somebody who's just focused on superficial stuff. You know, all they care about is like what kind of car you drive, designer labels, how much money you have. That's causing problems. This could be somebody has the financial power in the connection, and this is making there be like this inequity, you know, in the balance of power held within the relationship. Someone's holding the finances over someone's head. Another bird just flew by. And with that, a falling leaf. Okay, so this is like what needs to be shed, all right? This needs to be shed. I get so much information comes from this window. So much needs to be shed. And do you notice here, look, this person is giving to one, the other has these open palms and they got nothing. There's inequity here. This is what needs to be balanced out, okay? This is super important. And on the other side of that, yeah, we need to move away from this energy with the Six of Swords. But this is what's important to remember here, okay? Now, in this barge, there's a figure with a child, okay? So I really feel like what's come through for me recently with this, when I'm doing more therapeutic-based readings like I'm doing right now, is this piece of the way our little one is always with us. Even though we may be adults, you know, there's still the young part of us that we carry inside of us that can feel vulnerable at times. And this pain that we have from childhood, or the pain from the repressed stuff, you know, even when we move on from situations, even though we're not in the past anymore, notice how the swords are still coming forward in this barge. Like, we're not meant to bring that pain forward. We're meant to put those bags down. We're meant to release that pain. So I feel like a lot of what's getting in the way that's coming up right now is vulnerable stuff. And it's related to stuff that's kind of been running the narrative, running the show since you were children, since we all were children. I know I've had childhood stuff come up, you know, over the past few years. It's been in my face. I also have a different relationship to it now because I've really learned how to hold space for this stuff. So, you know, that's a good thing. It's an educational experience. Do you see? Page of Pentacles. This is about learning. This is about growth. This is about education. This is about understanding that it takes time to learn how to alchemize these situations. This could also be coming in very strongly for Earth sign energies. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. There's a need to alchemize here, okay? With the Magician energy. There's transformation required to move out of this place of feeling a sense of lack, a feeling of being shut out, a feeling of being out in the cold, okay? This is self-perpetuated. We know this because Seven of Swords came in the beginning here. There's some cycle, there's some pattern of behavior, there's something that needs to be transmuted that keeps leading to this result of feeling cut off, of feeling not included, of feeling not belonging, of not feeling fulfilled within the self as well, okay? The sense of lack is a distortion that comes from within. Isn't it interesting? Even when you look here, you know, you got like this Tiny Tim imagery here. You know, you got an older figure with a younger one that's looking like, you know, they're kind of worse for the wear, right? So there's a need to really do this healing work and transform this healing work. How? Through fire, through bringing the fire forward. King of Wands energy, fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, independent energy. Now, what is really interesting is what came up earlier, and I did pull it. Here it is. It's on the split of the deck. Queen of Wands. Look at this. Okay. Do you see the way they came out, though? They're facing in two different directions, right? They're not facing each other. To get this balanced out, they need to be like this. They need to be facing each other. But first, there needs to be a period of this, especially where you're healing imbalances of power and codependent dynamics. There needs to be an opportunity for both parties to come into a place of equanimity, okay, within themselves, and individuality, autonomy. That's how you heal unhealthy power dynamics in relationships. There needs to be a little separation. There needs to be a little pulling back. And like I was saying, maybe even pulling back a little bit, like sexually, like, wait a minute, I'm not going to sleep with people right now when I'm in a place where I'm feeling like this. I'm feeling insecure. I'm having trouble trusting. I got my guard up. I'm defensive. Maybe I shouldn't go and have sex with somebody right now, you think? This might not be the best idea. You know what I'm saying? It can be an opportunity for that clarity to come in and to do this healing work. And then once you kind of like transmute this energy, you have an understanding of, oh, this is what's kind of running the show. Now I get it. Oh, this is why I keep ending up in this position. Don't necessarily feel bad about having enforced time out, having an enforced time to have to really look at your own stuff or to work through your own stuff. This is what can be the very seed you need to heal. You know, this is what's necessary. Then you can turn things around. We see that having that alone time is very necessary, though, because what's right behind it? We got the Hermit to the Hanged Man. All right. Again, Pisces energy coming in strong. Again, Earth sign energy coming in strong with the Hermit, Virgo energy. So just to get some figures on the board, we got the fire signs on the board, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This is any strong placement. Pay attention to where you have this stuff in your chart, okay? Because you're not just your sun sign and your rising sign and your moon sign. You got a whole chart to look at. And you got houses in your chart that are associated with every sign that are like placeholders for that sign's qualities. Even if you don't have anything in that particular sign, you may have planets in that sign's house and it still has an influence. So get to know these energies, all right, in this capacity. Fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. We got Virgo energy front and center. We got all earth sign, actually, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Virgo very much highlighted. We got water sign energy on the board as well. Mainly Cancer, Pisces. Actually, all three are factoring in because we did have death show up on the scene, and death holds quite a bit of weight. So all the water signs are on the board: Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. We got Aries energy very strong, front and center. We also got Sagittarius very strong because we had Temperance come up that opened up this. We have Aquarian energy, okay? Double Aries energy in there. Aries is really like that North Node is speaking really loud right now. I'm not seeing air. Air's like, I'm out. Oh, it's making me laugh. I'm not seeing air. I'm not. And I mean, air's in this. We got Libra in the South Node. I mean, the Aquarius comes in with the Magician a little bit. Right behind us, we have the Sun, okay? So it's like once this alchemy work is done, all right? Once this energy is transmuted, it brings the Sun. It brings the happiness. Look at that babe there, no swords, casting off the veil of illusion, casting off that darkness, coming into the light, embracing the field of dreams, the sweetness, the joy, the happiness. Leo energy. Okay, now we got Leo coming in. And this leads to your Three of Cups that you want. Look, there's that Three of Cups where you were in the Four of Cups energy. I want my healing. But I'm not willing to do the work. I just want it handed to me. Once you do the work, you get this. You get your celebration. You get your healing to the tune of the Ten of Cups and to the tune of the Ace of Pentacles. New beginning in the spring, okay? Spring is when we really get the seed where it's like, okay, we're really officially, tangibly, materially at this beginning. Fall and wintertime will be a time for communication with the other, seeing signs of progress, okay? But it's not really going to get into the thick of it like, yes, we're really forming a commitment to this. Yes, we're really forging this connection, okay? It's not until then that we'll have this moving forward, and then the work will be done between two people, okay? And we come into this beautiful place of the balance with the Temperance energy, okay? So we got Cancer energy again here, Sagittarian energy coming in again. There's work to be done. There's a need to get into a place of synergy, mind, body, spirit. You got to get yourself right first. And then everybody involved in the situation needs to get themselves right. And then from there, there's something to work with, okay? And it brings completion to an old cycle that was full of suffering and confusion, where it wasn't possible to have this commitment because this energy was in reverse. It was operating in the shadow big time, okay? So I'll just like point each of these cards out so you can see that story. There's a need to bring this to completion. Again, fixed sign energies, very front and center. It's the fixed sign energies that have been showing up in this read as well. We got Leo, we got Taurus, we got Aquarius, we got Scorpio. We might have a Fiacus playing a role here because Sagittarius came in so often, and this wreath also looks a bit like snake scales to me. Looks a bit like the Ouroboros. That makes me think of the snake charmer. Makes me think of a Fiacus. Sagittarians born November 30th to December 18th, okay? There's a need. I feel like the Sagittarians that fall in that category, you're in a place where you're already actively closing these cycles. You may be dealing with an Aquarius, you may be dealing with a Scorpio, you may be dealing with a Leo, you may be dealing with a Taurus, you are over dealing with fixed energy. Sagittarius is not a fixed energy. Sagittarius is a mutable energy. For Sagittarius to be dealing with any kind of energy that's stuck like this just does not work, because Sagittarius wants to move into expansion, okay? So Sagittariuses that are born in that time period of Ophiuchus, November 30th to December 18th, you're probably digesting a lot of old stuff right now that relates to stubborn, intractable people who are unwilling to see any other perspective other than theirs. These are situations that you've been mired in for a long time. They're not movable. They're not going to change. You've been, on this trip many a time. This isn't your first time at this rodeo. Some of this has been like a skip in the record. You've dealt with it over and over again. You're finally digesting this. Digesting this is going to give you a new way forward. You're going to find clear passageway towards your future. You're going to have a whole new view. But right now, you have to do this properly. It's about really tying up loose ends, completing these cycles. Likewise, any of you signs here, you're being asked, the fixed signs are being asked to stop being so fixed. You cannot have it all your way. You cannot see it all your way. So do look where you have fixed signs in your chart. Where are they showing up? Where are you being stubborn? Where are you being intractable? Whether this is your, one of your big three or not, it's irrelevant. Where's that house? What do you got there in that house? What planets are there? Or is it an empty house? Maybe it's the house you need to bring some attention to, okay? So your chart is super important right now to navigate what you're moving through. The chart is playing a major role in what we're bringing through in Panchakarma and the Cauldron of Dagda as well. We're working in harmony with these cycles, all right? That's part of Ayurveda. Macrocosm is reflected in microcosm. And they do look at this stuff in Ayurveda. I mean, there's also Vedic astrology. It's very much a cornerstone. We know that what happened here is not right, okay? And that's why it needs to be wrapped up. There's a lot of betrayal in this situation. And this is not just typical betrayal. This is plotted betrayal. These are energies that aren't wanting to heal, okay? They're quite fine to stay where they're at, do what they've always done. And so only you can transmute these energies by releasing these things. And that is speaking to all of you fixed signs. This is speaking very strongly to Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, and Ophiuchus. I feel like you're already in this stage. You're like nom 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 nom. You're like the Ouroboros right now. You're ready to like wrap this up because you really see the way that this has caused you to suffer. It's caused you to really go out of your element big time. You've been having trouble manifesting things. Maybe your finances haven't been so great. You might have gotten taken advantage of financially. You've been confused. You felt stuck. In some cases, some of you may have even felt like somebody did some binding work on you. We do got the devil here. We do got two chained to each other, okay? And at one time, this may have had like a vice-like quality to it. Maybe this was a lustful connection. Maybe this was somebody who liked to party with you. It doesn't have to be a romantic connection. It can be other aspects. Maybe this was a lifestyle. It was something that you were attached to that had a toxic influence. And it's something that was causing you to feel very trapped, overpowered, out of your power in your life. And it was affecting you in your day-to-day reality, your material reality. King of Pentacles is the one who's like got things on lock, like, finances on point, feeling stable, feeling secure, can make a commitment, can follow through. Has got that Ace of Pentacles that is promised in the spring and has planted this. And it's come to this fruition. This is what you're being promised, but you can't have that. You cannot have that until first you get rid of this energy, because this will keep you stuck. Right? And you're going to have to use your discernment, right? Water sign energy, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, very strong in this read. Water, very strong. Earth, very strong. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Fire, very strong. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. All to open the road to head forward toward the future, okay? With the 2 wands coming in, right behind it, the strength. And then we arrive at what we're missing, the final 7 we're missing for. We've been missing to move forward. The 7 of Pentacles, the growth, right? This shit ain't gonna cut it though. This is the gross cup with this Page of Cups energy. Look, it's fishy. It's sus. It's not big and bold enough. Queen of Cups can't be met by a Page of Cups. Do you understand? King of Cups needs to be here. All right. This is the Judgment. Now we have Libra. Now we have Libra. Here's Libra. Oh, Libras, I can't wait for later. I'm bringing in the Native American Indigenous astrology, zodiac birth totems later, and we're starting with you since it's your solar return for Raven. Okay, so I'm really excited. That's going to be coming out today, so be on the lookout for that. This is Libra, all right? Judgment is Libra's card. Judgment, Justice, and Empress are all Libra cards, okay? This is Libra on the scene. This is the Judgment. Delivered with truth. Ace of Swords. This is the truth with the Ace of Swords. I'm sorry, it's really cracking me up. I was like, where's the air? Oh, of course. This is where air comes in. Punctuation point. You know, it's like, here's the final period on the stage. I know that my Libras out there are laughing because I'm not trying to be harsh, man. It's just we've been dealing with this for so freaking long. We're just really bored of it. We're just like, can we just get with it? It's not that hard. Can we just get with it already? And here we have another timing card. Okay, so we've had the Pentacle come in, the Ace of Pentacles for spring season. That's when we got our new beginning. That's when people really commit to the process. That's when you actually have the development really taking root in your material reality. This is like, yeah, we're moving forward with this, okay? We had the Ace of Wands show up. So that's that initial spark of passion, you know? This is the desire to move into action, and there will be some movement, okay? Do you see like communication coming in mainly? I think it's held up a little bit, okay? Let it get a little further into fall. We know there's some important communication that comes in the winter. Ace of Swords is a timing card for winter. The only thing we don't got is the Ace of Cups, all right? The Ace of Cups is not on the scene, but that's because you're not taking it. Spirit's trying to offer it with the Four of Cups. You got to take your Ace of Cups and you got to like start filling your cup, all right? And doing your own healing work and finding self-satisfaction, self-fulfillment, and doing your part to keep your part of the street swept clean. And then the avenue opens, all right? And then you do have that beautiful coming together in the spring. But there is an important communication. It's like a declaration. It's a real like confession kind of energy, but it comes from a very empowered place. And it's beautiful. It sparks a new beginning. And it comes in the winter, okay? Judgment. That's Judgment. And for a lot of you, you're having reunion experiences, okay? Because this card is very much about what was in the past resurfaces again, and Gabriel is blowing that horn. Gabriel is the archangel that helps deal with relationship challenges, okay? So it's a good thing. I want to read your comment here. I made that mistake 5 years ago blabbing on social media. The game was being run on me and it was exposed. It was supposed to happen that way. I dodged a bullet. He didn't really love me. Yeah. Yeah, but you know, see, that's kind of the thing. Like, even just like relaying the story, you don't even need to relay the story anymore. It's like, okay, that happened. It kind of like, do you see what I mean? It sort of reactivates that old energy. That's a way you can bring that past into the present. You know, it could have just been very simple. You could have just said, yeah, I made that mistake in the past on social media. Period. You know what I'm saying? But here comes the narrative. And that's the baggage that needs to be shed. That's like the old ghost, the hungry ghost of the past is still attached to you. And that's why you'll find more of the same. You see? Yeah. And I'm not pointing it out to put you on the spot at all. I mean, I've been there myself, okay? Like I had to work on stuff like this myself. But see, that's where it comes in. You could have just simply said, I made that mistake 5 years ago blabbing on social media, period. You see how empowering that is? That's Ace of Cups. That is that owning your shadow. I did that. I own that. I own that too. I've done that before. There's times that I look back when I was first on social media and I see some posts I put up. I've never been the one to like gossip about people and blab about their stuff, you know, on social media. And that's just not my style. I'm not like that. I take like, when somebody confesses something to me or shares something private with me, I hold that really sacred, like really sacred. But there's times when I've been on social media where I was upset about something, and I think that I just vented on social media. And I don't think that that's the best way to move, you know? That's not the best way to move. I could have made a better choice than venting on social media. And I mean, sometimes I get like that. I make jokes about it. You know, I'll say like, oh, you know, Jesus took the wheel and cock blocked me on my post. Because I did get to the point where I was like, okay, maybe that's not the best. I know I'm upset. I have a right to be upset, but I don't need to like be snotty, you know, online. And there would come a point where once I was aware of it, then like sort of like the spiritual forces would take over, and I would like try to post something and it literally would be blocked. I couldn't post it, and I would try over and over again and be like, all right, fine, I get it. I'm not supposed to do that. And I started to use it as a way to kind of like pull my energy back and go, okay, maybe I'm too activated to be on social media right now. And that being said, sometimes if you're being bullied online, if you're dealing with a situation like that, if you're being gang stalked, there's nothing wrong with calling something out. And I've done that, and it's been an empowering experience, and it felt good. And then I was able to just go, you know, okay? So there's a time and a place for everything. But when you actually get into the specifics of the story, they did this, they did that, and that's why I did that. Now you're justifying why you did it, right? Then it's like a justification. Well, yeah, I did this, and it wasn't the right thing to do, but I only did it because they did. Then you're scapegoating. So it's kind of like it's a way to really bypass accountability instead of just going, yeah, sometimes I fucked up, you know? Sometimes I fucked up, but I didn't do the right thing, and it's informed me, and now I do better, you know? It's a very different statement. So it's subtle. With Seven of Swords, we have to be aware of the subtlety in the way it can, like, you know, sneak in. And I love this. See, this is the good statement right there. That's a healthy, empowering statement. Yes, I too could have made better choices. I know better now. It's showing in my life. There you go. You know, there you go. And that's kind of the space that the collective needs to move into. So I think we know the work from the tarot perspective. I will tell you right now, it's totally mirrored in what came up in the I Ching that I cast. I do just want to run this little selenite across the field here just to like kind of clear that energy out. All right, we're going to just like wipe the slate clean. Okay, invite in some new healing, transformational energy. That's one thing that when I was on Facebook, I'll never be on Facebook ever freaking again, but that's one thing about being on Facebook that was very educational for me, was when the memories would come around. Oh, just seeing your like growth trajectory through your memories is really funny. Like there would be times when I was like, oh, cringe. Oh, why did I do that? Oh my God. But I learned to have a sense of humor about it, you know. None of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. It's okay. It's okay. The key is don't keep reliving it, and don't keep talking about it, and don't keep feeding it energy. And that's the whole point that comes in with the I Ching. We're meant to deal with this stuff, clear it out, and then you're meant to move on as soon as you can. You're not meant to be like that figure in the Six of Swords, carrying those swords forward into your future. It's damaging. Okay, it's damaging. All right. So let's read this. Let me get a sip of my dirty chai. These lives, I'm going to have to learn how to contain myself a little bit more because, man, I've spent like so much time on my 2 earlier lives this week. My throat, you know, is just so like, I got my voice going out on me. I have to be mindful of that. It's hard though, you know, you get on a train and you want to just keep going. So the I Ching casting that I got, we arrived at the hexagram number 40, which is known as deliverance or liberation. Okay. So this is the process of what we're in right now. We're in a process of deliverance and liberation. So yeah, right? Oh my God. Yes, please. It is the thing we've all been waiting for, you know. We've been waiting to get to the other side of this mess, right? And we did have a changing line. We did have one moving line. The line that we had was the line in the 3rd place, which is in the lower triagram, okay? And we have to be mindful of this position. When there's a changing line in the 3rd position, it's an unstable place because it's right at the point of that deliverance point, moving from the issue, the challenge that one has been facing and transitioning into the exaltation of the issue, like actually getting freed of it, all right? So to have a changing line right here in 3rd position is not a great thing because this should be a solid line. This should be a yang line, not a yin line. To be in this place of like, kind of like, oh, well, is not good. It needs a decisiveness that the yang energy brings. That's what provides the avenue, that provides the passageway for the manifestation to come through, and you actually get delivered. You get liberated from this mess you've been in, okay? So this particular line means carrying a burden and riding in a carriage encourages robbers, equals perseverance, leads to humiliation. This then changes, okay, once it changes, all right, from this energy, because that's what it means when you get a changing line. The yin line is in the process. Hi, Nat, good to see you. The yin line is now in a process of transforming into a yang line, okay? This is what you're being asked to do. You're being asked to change this wishy-washy, you know, indecisive yin energy into yang energy, where you're actually moving into action in this regard, and you're stepping into the place of creating an avenue for this liberation to happen, okay? So this is why, to continue in this place of just like wanting to be carted along in a carriage, I don't have to do any work here. I'll just ride along in my carriage and I'll just relax. It's got like the vibe. I don't know why I'm seeing Times Square, those horse-drawn carriages. You go around Central Park. I've never done that. I've always wanted to do that. Maybe it's because you're here, Natalie. I might have to come and see you at some point. I want to go on a carriage ride around Central Park. I've never done that. I've always wanted to go to New York. I got New York coming in big for me. But anyway, so this is about just like thinking that things should just be handed to you, that you should just be in like the lap of luxury, or things should just come easy for you, or where you have been in a place where maybe you have an advantage, okay? Maybe you're the person in this scenario. We looked at that piece as like one person's had all the power in a dynamic. Let's say you're that person, okay? Let's say you're that person and you've had all the monetary control and the connection, and maybe you've kind of been a little full of yourself with that. Maybe you've been flashing around that you got all this money. Oh, look at everything I got. Look at all the luxurious things I got. Look at my fancy car. Look at how much I can treat myself to. Oh, you don't have that? Oh, that's too bad. If you've been like in that kind of a position where you've been showboating, showing off, holding over your advantages over other people, looking down your nose at them, to persevere in this behavior leads to humiliation, because it's like you're thinking that you should just be able to be in this kind of lofty position where you have no responsibility, you have no accountability, there's nothing that you need to do, you don't have any work to do, and it's quite absolute bullshit. No one rides for free. We've talked about that on Broad Coven a lot. No one rides for free. Everybody's got to get their boots on. That's the way it is. And it's certainly the way it is in fairy, okay? This is also riding in a carriage encourages robbers. This is like we just talked about. You're wanting to move forward, but instead you're riding in the carriage of the past. You're bringing forward all your old stories, all your old narrative, all your old excuses, all the ways that you blame other people for why things are the way they are. And this encourages robbers. In other words, it means you can't manifest what you want to manifest. You're always going to end up in that place where somebody's doing you wrong, somebody's ripping you off, somebody's cheating on you, somebody's lying to you, somebody screwed you over, you missed out on an opportunity again, your money is tanking, and it's because you're still riding in the carriage of the past. You're not taking, you know, the lift ride that's coming from spirit, which isn't on the scene yet. That's the chariot. The chariot doesn't come, though, until you exercise the Ace of Cups, you do your growth work, then you get to move forward. Spirit will let you know when it's time to move forward. But if you keep trying to control the flow, control the narrative, instead of just really getting real with yourself and doing your alchemical work, then you're still being led forward by the chariot of the past. So you're going to have the same experiences over and over and over and over and over and over again until you say, you know what? I don't want this ride. I don't want that Six of Swords. I don't want to go on this lift. I don't want this lift that has all my old swords in it. No, I want a different experience. Let me show you. Hopefully it won't be hard to find. There is a card in the Paulina Tarot. They have a different depiction of the Six of Swords. And I actually love the way they depict it in the Paulina Tarot, because in the Paulina Tarot, the figure in the Six of Swords is not bringing any swords forward with them. They have actually cast them off to the side, and they have a free open passage. And this is more the energy that you're meant to embody. This is what opens the avenue. There's a need first to like clear out all these old stories, all these old belief constructs, all this old energy, so you can get to the other side of it. I got to find it. Where's it at? Where's it at? Of course, I'm going to have to go through the whole freaking deck to find it. It'll be interesting to see what card is next to the Six of Swords in this deck. I'm curious. I wonder if it's going to provide a clue. I think it will. Oh, it does. Oh my gosh. It Oh my gosh. This is my fairy deck. This deck, this Paulina Tarot, uses really like delicate art. You know, it's really pretty. It was inspired by this artist and their experience of life in New Orleans. And that's why I got this deck. But it does come in with a clue. Okay, here's the Six of Swords. Here's the Six of Swords, right? Look at that. I love this depiction. See the bird flying free. There's the liberation. There's the deliverance. Here's the Six of Swords moving forward, not bringing any swords. They've pushed them off to the side. They're like, forget it. I'm done with that. Drawing a line under the past. Clean sweep. Here we go. I'm moving forward. I'm ready for my future. All right. What's holding up the show? What was I saying missing? I said the Queen of Cups needs the King of Cups, not the Page of Cups with a fishy offer. King of Cups, Seven of Wands. This energy is blocked. This King of Cups is so blocked. They are so guarded. The masculine is like shielding themselves. Also, the masculine is being a little bit stubborn right now. The masculine also might be a little caught up. I'm picking this up. They might be dealing with a lot of opposition. Maybe this masculine, they know where their heart's at, but right now they're putting out fires. They're taking a stand for something they believe in. And they're dealing with a lot of people coming at them who are arguing about this situation. They don't like the choice that this particular King of Cups has made. This is somebody who wants to follow their heart, and people don't agree with the way they want to follow their heart. And this can apply to a woman too, okay? Masculine quality. An action you want to take, it's being held up because you have opposition coming from people around you, all right? And you may need to defend this new beginning you want. You know, I'm seeing this shield like the Ace of Pentacles, right? You may need to rest on your laurels. And you may need to kind of like create some, you know, separation between yourself and these people that can't seem to mind their own business and let you live your life on your terms. You might need to put down some boundary lines. This may be essential. Because we see that this Ace of Wands here, this action that you want to take, you got an Ace of Wands with an Ace of Pentacles here. This action you want to take is going to lead to the seed of your new beginning that you're desiring, all right? But down here, and this is your Six of Wands, okay? This is what's coming at you. These people know that this is your victory with the Six of Wands. They know it's what will make you happy, but it's not the victory they wanted for you. Oh my gosh, this is energy, okay? So this is really what needs to be addressed right now. I'm glad I brought that in, okay? So it says here, there's a quote that I found that really kind of like exemplifies the energy of this this challenge that we have that's facing us. It says, there is no real difficulty that requires outward movement. Within yourself, deliverance must be searched for, because each man makes his own prison. Okay? Sir Edwin Arnold said that. Let me repeat that. Within yourself, deliverance, right? We're at deliverance. Number 40, this hexagram, liberation. Within yourself, deliverance must be searched for, because each man makes his own prison. This is why the past can't come forward with you. And when I'm saying the past, I talk your past identity, your narrative about it, your story about it, your need to tell the same story over and over again, your need to fixate on this person did this, and this is why I did that, and this is why my life is. No, it's like that because you ignored what your own wisdom told you. You had the experience you had because you denied your own internal wisdom. You did not listen to your intuition. You wanted things to be other than the way they were. You told yourself a story about it, and that's why you had the experience you had. You saw red flags. You asked for clarity. You wanted to believe the answer, even though everything inside of your soul said nope. And you betrayed yourself and you abandoned yourself. And that's why it turned out the way it did. And when I'm saying that, I'm speaking to everyone. I'm speaking to myself. I've had this experience. Have you had this experience? Symbolically raise your hand if you have. I know there's hands up all over the place. We've all had this experience of knowing, just knowing in the pit of our gut, this isn't right, this doesn't feel right, something isn't right here. But we don't want to believe it. So we put on our rose-colored glasses, you know. We put on our rose-colored glasses and we go, oh, you're just the kind of devil that'll do it for me. And then we're bummed out, man, when we're getting flogged. That's the way it works, right? But it don't matter what kind of spin you want to put on it. It doesn't change. It is what it is, all right? So this is why to persist in this way, it leads to humiliation. Because sooner or later, you know, you're going to get outed. That, you know, you're not looking at things accurately. That you're the one who's getting in your own way. And that can be a little bit of a undignified experience when you realize that, like, oh my gosh, why did I fall for this again? You know, why do I keep ending up in this place? Why do I keep putting myself in this position? Isn't that true? You end up with a situation where you're unhappy. Who do you get angry at first? You get angry at yourself. Damn it, I knew it. Why did I do that? Why didn't I trust what I was feeling? Why didn't I just cut this off back then? You always get more angry at yourself. And so sometimes when we feel that disappointment in our actions, when we when we're hard on ourselves, which you got to exercise a little bit more compassion. We all struggle with these issues, okay? So it's not about being hard on yourself. Try to invite in a little compassion when you bump up against that. But this is stuff we all struggle with, man, you know? All right. So what we need to do to change this, so we can move the energy from this place into something that actually can endure, something that can actually bless us up, something that can get some forward momentum going, that leads to good things, that leads to healing, that leads to union, that leads to celebration and happiness. We have to move this energy forward into a state of duration. And in order to do that, we have to shed our old identity, okay? We have to stop carrying a bag of weapons with us, all right? Like we're just at the ready. We're ready to attack. We're ready for more of the same. If you make yourself ready for more of the same, there will be more of the same. That's why being in the present moment is so essential. The more you can detach, the more that when you start to think about too much about the future, or you start looking back too much on the past, you can like bring yourself right back into the moment and activate the witness. Or the more you can work with meditative techniques, the more that you are going to find that you will be able to move beyond this. You won't be in this guarded place. You'll be more open. You'll be more accepting. Your life will be easier. It'll be easier to manifest too. And it says here, the fight is over. You need to release who you were and discover who you are now. The fight's over. It's done. It's always like that. Because each moment is new. So this is about really coming into the present. And this is what's upon us. Like we're at this place. We're moving into a period of renewal. All right. Now, what I do want to make a note, just it's in this caution here too. You know, you don't want to be like the bag lady, like Erykah Badu's bag lady, and dragging all this old stuff behind us, and then wondering why we keep finding more of the same. You got to put the bags down. We've been talking about this for a while. And I think you're really in the process of doing this. I think you're in the process of shedding this. And through this Panchakarma, you're definitely going to get there. You're going to start to like loosen up a bit. You know, you're going to open up opportunities for yourself. But there's this piece that when you do get to the other side and things start getting cooking for you, and things are feeling really good for you, and you're starting to feel like, you know, really positive about things. And maybe you have people around you, maybe they weren't the kindest to you in the past. Maybe now the shoe is on the other foot. Maybe now the tables have turned. Your challenge is going to be not to gloat, you know, that you're on the other side of it. Your challenge is going to be not to like, you know, do what they did to you, all right? And reverse roles so you can feel a false sense of empowerment. And instead to exercise some compassion and understand that, you know, they too are learning a lesson. They too are evolving, and they too are right where they need to be, all right? So this is about having a sense of equanimity in times of blessing, and equanimity in times of challenge, all right? It's always about staying present with whatever experience is greeting you. It's also a case of not all that glitters is gold, okay? Don't be sucked in by stuff like this either. Don't be sucked in by this kind of posturing. Just because something looks good, just because it looks appealing, just because there's temptation there, doesn't mean it's necessarily right for you. You'll know as you sink into your own internal wisdom. The more that you sink into your own energy, you'll understand what is vibrating in harmony with you, okay? Finally, in relation to this line, the action is to untangle, okay? Untangle this ball of confusion. In some cases, for those of you that it speaks to, where you suspect that somebody in your circle, somebody around you has done some kind of binding work, you may need to do some cord cutting. Or I like to view it as extraction work. I don't like to just think of cutting cords. I like to think of, you know, pulling out those situations by the root. You might need to do some womb space clearing if you feel like you got energy of old lovers in there, right? I'll put the link to that video in the comments. You might need to detach the energy. You might need to let some connections go because they've served their purpose. That's okay. Sometimes forgiveness looks just like letting go. It doesn't mean that you have to, you know, continue to hold a grudge, resentment, nothing. It means you let it go, you know, and that doesn't have to look like you saying you're sorry or feeling a deep like affinity toward that person or making what they did right. It doesn't. It can just be as simple as I'm letting this go. I'm not speaking on it any further. I'm releasing it and I learned from it. And, you know, may you learn from it too. So there can be growth. Sometimes that's as good as forgiveness gets. And there's nothing wrong with that. And don't let anybody shame you for that. And don't let anybody tell you that you have to be forced into some healing process you don't want to be a part of either. And maybe that is healing for you. It's different for everybody. We have to respect people's parameters around their healing processes and what's right for them, and for them to set those boundary lines, not others. Okay. Very important part. Healing is an intimate experience. And again, it's very individual, and it's not up to outside entities to determine what that looks like or how the experience needs to play out. Only you know that. Only you know what's right for you, okay? And what you need. The Hugua, or the hidden influence, is hexagram 63. After completion, renew. Okay, so it's letting you know that you need to just keep on this track, okay, and do this work, and you need to exercise some endurance here, okay, and make sure that you do it thoroughly, because what you can't see right now, what the hidden influence is that you're moving into a time where you're completing this karmic cycle, and with that is going to come a renewal in your life. And so this is like that rebirth you're about to head into. It's a beautiful energy, right? You just can't see it yet. The Zhonghua is the underlying cause, and that is hexagram 37, family support, right? So this is the time that, you know, you're going to find that where there's cracks in your support system, it's going to be readily apparent. Where you thought you had strong connections, maybe you're seeing some weaknesses. Maybe you're seeing some things that need to be addressed, okay? And this is where the reinforcement work is needed. In some cases, things are shattered. In some cases, you have found there just isn't support here, or I've outgrown this, or these individuals aren't wanting to grow. They're wanting to stay there. I'm not. I'm wanting to move forward. I'm wanting to progress in my life. I'm being led by my heart. I'm being led by a sense of purpose. That's okay. Then it may be time to let go. Okay, so this is like the work to be done and what needs to be looked at. Now, deliverance being on the scene with this hexagram 40 means that clarity and fresh opportunities are what is coming in for us. There's been a thunderstorm. There's been some tower moment. There's been some moment of awakening. Something's happened, okay? Something happened. Someone somewhere popped off. Someone somewhere spoke a truth, okay? Something got aired out. Something is seen now. It's been exposed. We know that we're on the other side of the 4 supermoons, okay? So there's a home truth that's come into roost, all right? This much is clear. But the thing is that following a storm, all right, there comes the clarity. And there comes the awareness of new opportunities and fresh perspectives. So this is where the tension needs to now melt and give way to a new sense of optimism, all right? Because all these extreme tensions and oppositional obstacles and energy has been cleared. That's why the storm comes. That's why the tower comes. It says, all right, boom, we're just dismantling this. All right, now think of a new way to put it together. Is it disruptive? Yes. Is it destabilizing? Yes. But you can't stay stuck there because you're meant to be productive. You're meant to move forward, okay? And if you were at sea, like 2 ships passing in the night and caught in an ocean of emotion, following a storm at sea, deliverance could just look like dry land, okay? It could be like, okay, let's just, all right, let's just get stabilized a little bit, all right? I need to kind of like get my bearings after all that. I just like, maybe I'm just happy with just like chop wood, carry water right now, just like taking care of the mundane stuff, all right? And that's okay too, all right? It's a refuge. This is a time of forgiveness. It is a time of healing old wounds, all right? And again, like I was saying, for some of you, don't be hard on yourself. If for you, forgiveness is like, you know what? I just want to let it go. I'm not going to hang on to bitterness. I'm not going to hang on to resentment. I don't got any axe to grind, but I don't want to hold space for this anymore. And I'm releasing this. And that's okay. And don't let anybody tell you that it has to be any other way. If that's how it is for you, sometimes that is forgiveness. For some of you, you're forgiving yourself, okay? And for some of you, you're actually entering into forgiveness communication with another, or in a relationship. You're healing with another, okay? There's a need in this process to be aware of the tendency to reopen old wounds, okay? You may need to have a clearing out, an initial clearing out, where you're like, okay, I need to understand why certain things happen back there like that. And you may have an initial clearing out, but you're not meant to stay in that process of like sitting and stewing there, okay? That's not what it's about. It's about, let's address it. Let's just, speak to it. Let's come to a place of understanding with each other. And now we are going to leave that behind, and we're going to move forward, and we're not going to continue to nurse that because that's done, right? It's recognizing that something is done, and it's a new cycle, and now it's time to let it go, all right? So you don't continue to grind that axe. Yes, you may need to have a clearing communication with somebody. All right, air it out. And then let it go if you want to heal with that person. And if you can't do that with that person, then maybe you do just need to let it go. And you need to release that relationship and move forward on your own. Because that's not fair to enter into a healing dynamic with somebody and still hold them hostage for what happened in the past. If you're making the choice to give somebody another chance, yes, by all means, have your clearing communication so you understand why you guys ran into the issues you did. But after that, you need to table it. It needs to be done. Because if you don't do that, you're going to head back into this codependent, push-pull dynamic where one person's trying to control the narrative in the relationship. One person is being stubborn. No, you have to see it all my way. And that is not productive, okay? In fact, it says here that if you do not have an awareness around this, around the way that holding on to old hurts in any kind of healing dynamic and repeatedly just going over the same stuff over and over again, bringing it up every time there's any kind of insecurity that surfaces in the connection, any issues, that this is only going to lead to further mistrust, guarding, and shutting down. All right? So we're meant to overcome this tendency. This can easily be avoided by moving forward steadily and consistently. No abrupt actions, no impulsive actions. This is all about creating a feeling of safety, trust, stability, the proper foundation in healing a relationship, a connection, a situation. Brick by brick. Consistent action. That's how it's done. Consistent action. Unwavering, consistent action. Even when space is needed to process something, consistent action. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm just taking a little space. Don't worry. I'm not abandoning you. This matters to me too. Okay? And then as soon as you're able to, as soon as you process what you need to process, get back to your consistent action. Okay? You can't have it all internalized. You also have to externally be showing and demonstrating to this person that you're trying to heal with that you are taking consistent action in material reality. That's what lays the new foundation. That's what repairs trust. That's what creates reunion. That's what creates healing. That's the new foundation. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be consistent. Yeah, isn't this interesting? The squash off just fell. It needs to be consistent. You know what this reminds me of? This is for the hair. It's gua sha for the hair. It feels so good on the scalp. Just opening the energy up at the crown. Just releasing all those old thoughts, all those old ideas, all those old belief systems. But it also reminds me of, the Zen sand gardens with the stones, and they use the little rakes and they make the designs. You know, it's that meditative space, like clearing out the old energy. And that's what you do in a Zen garden. You make the designs, just like the sand mandalas that the Tibetan monks make. You make these beautiful designs, and then when you're done, you like just take it and you just sweep it away and you start over. Okay? That's what the energy needs to be like. It's that sweeping energy. Deal with it, transmute it, and then sweep the energy clear. Okay? Right? Rushing matters will be disastrous. And that's because rushing matters is going to create the same kind of air of instability that caused the problem in the first place. It's going to create a feeling of distrust, of being pushed, of being forced, of being coerced. It's going to activate all of the same stuff that was running the show before. So consistency, taking things at a nice steady pace, showing the commitment, showing you're here, you know, really establishing that safety is important. Also, it's important to stabilize yourself, okay? This is very necessary through that Ace of Cups, self-care, getting in touch with your own emotional reality, making sure you're clearing out what you need to clear out, taking responsibility for yourself, okay? This is so necessary if you hope to, you know, actively heal with others. You need to take care of your mundane needs first. Take care of your needs, and then you can finally, once you feel fulfilled and centered and grounded, then you can address the needs of a relationship that you're trying to heal. Stress management is key, okay? The thing that really needs to be held in the forefront of the consciousness right now is that after there's been a time of difficulty, the first priority is to return to stability as quickly as possible. First within yourself and then within the relationship. So if you're hoping to heal a relationship and you're dragging things out and you're taking a long time doing that, you're putting off the personal work you need to do, you're putting off your stabilizing work, you're weakening the possibility of being able to heal that connection because you are not moving on from what destabilized it quickly enough. Letting things drag out can be further destabilizing, right? Tie up your loose ends, clear out straggling energy, clear out interfering energy, clear out any third-party influence that is causing problems or disruptions in your situation, draw a line under the past, and then move deliberately with a live and let live spirit. So whatever you release, it's not about you, you know, trying to see what's going to happen to that person in their storyline. It's not about you plotting revenge. It's not about getting even. It's not about getting your licks in. It's not about any of this energy. It's about live and let live. I've made my choice. I'm moving on. I'm leaving you to your own life, your own choices, okay? Where you are, you know, leaving connections behind. This is very important. And then move deliberately. Move forward in this way. And that's what's going to secure this beautiful, you know, good fortune that is wanting to come in for all of you. And I think that's pretty much it. This about covers everything, okay? So a lot came in. It still was long, 3 hours. A little shorter, a little shorter. I'm hoping I have energy to do a healing session tonight. I don't know if I will, to be honest with you. I am going to do the Libra reading, so I might need to wait until Tuesday to bring in this healing session. I might need to give myself that grace. I think I'm going to listen to myself and what I'm feeling right now. The lives are a lot. It's a lot of space to hold, and I do enjoy doing it, but I need to make sure that I'm really modulating my energy properly for that. I'm also in the space of like calling up the ritual play space for the Questers of the Cauldron of Dagda, and I'll be doing that later tonight. So I actually think I'm going to wait, okay, on that. I know I was talking about bringing that in, but I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to bring that in on Tuesday, and that way I'll be able to really bring my full self to the table, and I'll be well rested, and we'll use it to kick off our actually diving in week, since this was like Get Centered week. So I'll bring in all the cards, you know, that have come in. There was a card that came in on the Cobra's Medicine Bag channel for the group that had support that struggled with eating disorder. and that struggle with body image issues, things of that nature. And it was Cupio Dissolvi. So this is all about opening up the heart center to receive and to receive nurturing. So I'll also bring in this element to what came in earlier, which was the need to modulate. All right, we had that card. And we had another card come in. I have them all set aside. I've been keeping track of them. Okay, so I'm just going to merge all of the energies that have come in up to this point through the White Light Oracle into a healing session. I know I'm going to be working with lunar essence. I know I'm going to be working with that feminine energy is going to be coming in to bring in a certain kind of tempering, balancing, I think, to support the masculine. I feel that very strongly, but we'll do it on Tuesday, all right? Because I want to bring my full self to the table, and I think that that's all I'll do on Tuesday. I'll bring in this healing session, and that way I'll really be able to give it the time, the care, the attention, and the mana it deserves, all right? But do look later today. I'll be bringing in the reading for Libra in their native astrology sign, birth totem, which is Raven. Actually, Virgos who are born on September 22nd, you slide into this category because the timing, the dates are a little bit different with native zodiac. Okay, so if you're a Virgo who was born on September 22nd, you get to come on over here with Libra gang. All right. So it should be really interesting to see how that plays out. And we're going to go in the order of zodiac after that. So it'll be Scorpio will be up next, and Scorpio will fall into snake totem, your snake totem in native astrology. So before I do that read, I'll bring in a short for you all so you can kind of get familiarized with the energy, and then we'll do your read. But we're kicking it off with Libra. It's their solar return. That's the way we do it here at Broad Coven. Whatever sign is having their solar return gets their reads front of the line. And I'll be bringing that in later today. Thank you to those of you who showed up and dropped in for this live. And continue to enjoy this opening week. And next week is when we really start to get into it. And we start to turn up the heat on that cauldron of Dagda. It's also when we start to really get things cooking with our Panchakarmas. So I wish you all well. And thank you for being here and being a part of this experience. Lots of love to you.